Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Gaming Circle Podcast. The podcast where this week I had to get interesting with the thumbnail. I'm sure y'all found that interesting. We'll get into all of that. But of course, I am your host, K Asante, TKO Asante on your Xbox, your PlayStation, all those places we communicate. And of course, as always, I am joined by my brethren, the man who's out here just killing narratives left and right, Mr. Everborn Saga. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
What's happening? I, fun fact, have not had my coffee yet. So
okay.
Give me a minute to get into it.
Okay.
We'll bring the energy levels up as we go.
I understand. You know what? And maybe we'll get right into it. We'll start talking about it, and then maybe I'll give you an opportunity to go get your coffee. How about that? So first and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us so far. I see y'all out there in them Twitter streets. People retweeting, people letting folks know that we are starting the show. I see y'all out there on them YouTube streets early, already in the chat, enjoying yourselves. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. So let's see.
The 10 for Koofies in the hat,
right?
In the chat already.
Right? It's so beautiful. I know. We were procrastinating. It took us some time to get it all together, but here it is. It's together, and it is a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. So I say all that to say, if you have not considered, please take a look, join the Discord, or possibly be a member to our channel, because as you know, we're growing and we appreciate all your support. And of course, if you do happen to join, you will get access to those amazing emojis. We do have the charge them more emoji currently on display. I will put them up in the chat as we talk. We also have the God among men peaches emoji. We'll get into that one as well, because that was interesting this week. We have the missionary gamer emoji, and of course the tinfoil kufi emoji. All wonderful emojis that have been cultivated and incubated on our channel. Go ahead, man.
The upcoming emoji is the one where we take a picture with you and smile, and then you get your pink slip.
Oh no, the pink slip emoji. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Joke.
It is too soon. We haven't even talked about the story yet. No jokes just yet. But no.
Listen, Joanna Dark in the chat said it best. Ever grumpy Saga. I have not had my
Hey man, yet, so. But you know what? I'm sorry. There is an argument to be made that the news just initiates grumpiness, because there's just a lot of sadness out there right now in them Twitter streets.
Well, okay. We'll save it, but I think some people are a little bit too sad.
Okay, and that will be an interesting conversation we get into,
especially the people who just told us it was just business a couple of weeks ago. But
yeah, you know how it goes. Yeah, you know how it goes. So you know what I'll do? This is what I'll do. I will start and talk about some of the games I have been playing, and I will give Mr. Everborn Saga a few minutes to go get his coffee.
Well, wait a minute.
I got mine.
Why don't? Because I've only been playing one game this week.
Okay.
So let me talk about it first.
Sure.
Prince of Persia.
Yeah, talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Yes,
so
go ahead.
I have been playing that game all week on the Steam Deck.
Okay.
A little bit on the Xbox because it has cross save or cross progression, I should say.
Manual cross save, cross progression.
It's very weird how you have to do it. Like you have to leave the game, go to the main menu, then upload your save. Like it auto saves, but it doesn't auto upload to the cloud, which is weird.
Yep.
And I don't know why they do it that way. And I, fun fact, double dipped on this game. I didn't do it through
so you didn't do it the way it should have been done, like a normal human. You double dipped like a troglodyte. Understood. Continue, sir.
I have a problem canceling subscriptions, so I'm very weary about signing up for a new one.
Okay.
Because but no, like the controls are so tight on this game. The platforming, just like everything about it feels right. The lore that's there, and a lot of people when they think Prince of Persia, maybe they don't, but this was maybe I'm projecting, but a lot of people think Prince of Persia and they remember like the 3D ones, but like Prince of Persia was out since the early 90s, maybe late 80s, right? I know they had one.
Prince of Persia is the OG
Prince of
Prince,
Persia
man.
came
He's
out
the
in
OG.
1993.
Indeed. Well,
right?
I mean, the graybeards will even talk to you about the Commodore 64 Prince of Persias and onward. There have been Princes of Persias on systems galore. Yes, this thing is OG.
So like this is like back to roots.
Indeed.
And I really like look there's so much style in every shot, and to me this is like what Ubisoft should be, right? This is what I remember about good Ubisoft, where you have art, you have all this convergence of art, storytelling, and you know, gaming or interactive, whatever, but like it's really good. All the characters look cool. The fighting, like you can get it can be sweaty. I just fought that the lion that was also like a demon with the horns and the wings
and the tail and the spiky tail. Yes.
I was fighting that guy for like 2 days.
Me too, bro. Me too. I was like, bro, I just know that I'm just not good enough at this game. That's fine, because I just can't handle. But I was not using any, like, I was not using any PCs. I'm not going on, because sometimes when I'm not good at the keyboard the control thing, I'll switch to keyboard mouse, and that'll kind of give me a bit of an edge in the
but that doesn't help you in a game.
It didn't help me here. No. It took me days to beat it.
Yeah, you just kind of have to keep dodging whether he's about to hit you or not, because he's always about to hit you. But
it's pattern recognition. As soon as you grok the pattern, you're good. But it takes a while to traverse it.
I don't feel like he really had a pattern, right? Because he switches it up so much. Like if you adapt, he was adapting to me. So it's like you could wait for him to like give you the yellow signal so that you can parry him. But if you stay too close to him, he won't do it, right?
Yes.
And
you had to be a certain distance away so that he could do a certain thing, and then you could counter it a certain way every time. It's crazy.
That's the only way that you will take, because your hits at that stage in the game do not take a lot of damage. And unless you're doing that big finisher parry, and you have to do that to him 2-3 times just to like bring his health down. So but again, all of that, you would think like, okay, because usually games will either focus on the combat and the combos, or they'll focus on the platforming, or in some cases they'll just focus on the story, right? But this kind of does it all, and the lore is really good.
It's rich. So it's been there forever. That's right. Yeah.
Can I tell you how this thing runs smooth as butter on the Steam Deck?
Runs smooth as butter on everything and anything. Yes.
And I had to do the whole thing because you got to do. What's the name of the non-Steam launcher I had to download?
And then the Ubisoft Connect thing. Yeah.
Well, no. Okay, so there's a thing if you have a Steam Deck, it's called non-Steam launcher. And shout out to Dark who put me onto this. He gave me the link to download it anyway. I know you told me about it, but Dark gave me the link. So I got that going, and then you can install a bunch of other launchers on there, and then just add them to your Steam library. Now, what I don't like is I can't add the game directly. I have to launch Ubisoft Connect and then launch the game. So if I ever bought multiple Ubisoft games, it'd be weird because it's not that easy to control. But just because it's one game there, that's fine. So I would.
But you know what though? I will give you a small bit of a pro tip. Like that Steam launcher works great, but all it's doing is kind of putting shortcuts in there so it makes it easier for you to connect to it. Once you kind of grok what it's doing, you can go in there and like make your own shortcut. So instead of having it launch UB Connect every time, it'll just launch the game itself. It just takes a little bit of a modification.
So I saw that, but then that still doesn't really help you in this, if you have multiple games, because you would have to configure that. I mean, I only play one game at a time mostly anyway.
That's true. Yes.
But you do have to go in. So if I get another Ubisoft game, I'd have to change it. That's why I didn't go and do that extra step. But again, by the way, all of this could be avoided if I just use the ROG Ally.
Oh, yes. Indeed. But okay. Yes, continue. But
that sweet user interface. on
And
the
by the
Steam
way,
Deck.
real quick, before you continue, Mr. Everborn Saga, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, in the chat, I have put a Q&A. I'm trying to use some of these features of this platform. So I put a Q&A out there. What games are you playing? Whether they be AAA or amuse-bouche games, if you will, palate cleansers. Let us know the games you're playing. I'd like to see some of these in here, and maybe grab something new that I haven't played yet. But go ahead, everyone. What were you saying?
So again, one other thing that I did, not for long, just for like 5 minutes, because I wanted to see it after all the updates. Has anyone played Starfield recently on the Xbox?
Not on the Xbox, but continue. Maybe folks in the chat,
So,
that's a question you could answer. Yeah.
I had issues with the textures in Starfield because
Yeah.
they like while the material textures look good, the skin and the facial textures in Starfield were not very good on the Xbox version.
Yeah.
But if you look at it now, it looks a lot better. You can see the pores in the skin of the characters. It looks closer to what the PC looks like, obviously. And I haven't tried PC with DLSS, but just from my experience of playing on the PC when the game originally came out, the Xbox version looks a lot closer. So if you haven't played it yet,
have they gotten 60 frames just yet?
Absolutely not. It's a design choice. We're not gonna have that argument.
It's a design choice.
We're not gonna have that argument.
Here we go again. All right,
again, I don't know why. Every time I can default to play something on the Steam Deck more and more, I'm doing that. We should actually talk about that later because Microsoft has not gotten their act together in terms of the handheld experience.
Yep.
I find myself buying more games on Steam, and I'm now building a Steam library. And this is me we're talking about.
That's right.
And I just don't think that is a good thing.
That's not possible. Mr. There's no way that Steam could be a replacement for the console. No. People remember them digital receipts, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are. I should have a mission accomplished banner right behind me, but okay. Continue.
I just think they're going to need to move fast, because if the Steam Deck 2 comes out, and this is what I suspect for the Steam Deck 2, when the Steam Deck 2 launches, I think they're going to launch it with the public availability of Steam OS.
Oh, man. Imagine that. That would be
imagine,
like, woo.
Imagine the Steam Deck 2 comes out alongside the mythical Steam box, and they got all the extra stuff that you need to work with, OLED TVs and 120 hertz and all that stuff, and like turning it on remotely from a controller or whatever.
That would be something else, man. Then they come in for the neck of the console troglodytes, man. They come in for that platform.
I'm just saying, I need Microsoft to get their handheld experience act together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I cannot tell you how many Steam games I'm just buying, and these are games that I would have been buying on Xbox, but it's just like certain games, like these 2D platformer kind of games, these indie games. That's why I bought Cookie Cutter.
Yes.
Right.
And those indie games,
that game that's getting ready to come out, Zao.
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
That
easy
also
on Steam. That's right.
On the Steam Deck. I actually bought that in both places because I wanted to support the guy making it. But
we should talk about that a little bit. We should talk about a little bit of that, because I've heard, and even since the Xbox, the Direct they recently had, I've started hearing more rekindlings of that conversation, where some games, even on the Xbox first party side, don't come to the platform, to the console until much later, right? Honestly, I think there's a more of a lengthy conversation to be had there. It makes the console player feel like a second-class citizen, which I can understand. But the reality of it, and I ask you to weigh in and disabuse me of this, it's easier to launch games on the PC side, right? And that's the reason why Cookie Cutter was there first. That's the reason why Zao, even though Zao is a different case because they are planning on launching day and date, but by and large, what do you call it? The Cub, it's on PC. is where it came out first, and I hear that
whoa.
PlayStation took threw them the bag, and that's why they were able to get it to PlayStation as well. Otherwise, it would have been PC only, and then a later, which is how they usually move, you know.
Well, actually.
Well, actually.
Did we talk about Cub this week or last week? We talked about Cub last week.
I think we didn't really
we did not talk about Cub last week.
No, Cub kind of came in between, and I think we should definitely talk about Cub because that's a game that I've been playing as well.
The reason for that is that I played it and beat it in the same night. I think it was like after the show. So we got to do a whole segment on Cub because
yes, I'm about to do a whole segment on Cub. So if you want, let's switch to Cub right now because I was going to talk about Cub. Do you want to talk about Cub right now?
Yeah, Cub is another game that I didn't realize I did this so much gaming this week. Wow.
You see, we had that in between time, right? We had that in between time.
Persia and
so let me switch to some Cub trailer footage here.
All right,
like,
so
go ahead.
Cub is like,
which is something we both have been playing.
Continue. It's like Lord of the Flies meets like sort of, how do I
look, the elevator pitch that I was able to give was
go ahead.
It is the art, not art style, but the art quality of Inside, which you haven't played. The art quality of Inside, which for those who've played it, that is huge props, like monster, like it was the standard. This meets it, in some places exceeds it. So the art style of the art quality, I will say, of Inside with gameplay elements of Ori and the Blind Forest, or Ori in general, but by and large,
I have to stop you on that. Because you can't actually attack anyone.
Yeah, there is no attack, right? But there is no attack. Yes. What I was going to say was by and large, it's not the Ori combat system. It's more the traversal mechanics of it. And actually, by and large, the mechanics of it is kind of harkening back to some old school games that have been kind of repurposed in this place. Like there's a time where I'm playing this game, and you guys might have seen it in the trailer here. I'll reverse it a couple times. There are time in the game where I'm playing, and I could have sworn I'm like, hey, Donkey Kong Country. Like they literally stole the train level where you have to jump from one train cart to another train, like hook, line, and sinker from that game, right? And then there's some shmup elements that they are harking back to games of old while giving you this story. But continue, sir.
We also have to talk about the soundtrack.
Oh, GTA level of gangster. Like, well, okay, not the music style, because there are different styles it evokes, but it's that idea of, look, we're here to give you this sweet like companion in audio while you're traversing this lonely world. And it's just like, such a good combination of music choices while you're being isolated in this world and everything is killing you. This is like what, Australia times a billion. this world.
Yeah, and the other thing, like, think like Planet of Lana, but with a harder focus on platforming as opposed to puzzle solving. And the way the art is done and the way they tell their story through listening to the radio, and then how they use the background in the foreground to kind of give you this sense like you're watching an old school, almost like, you know,
Saturday morning cartoon
film or a Disney kind of thing. Like all these things together just work, and the fact that they're able to do it in a 2D space, but using the foreground.
Here's the Donkey Kong Country part. That part is amazing. Like I was just like, wow, that's amazing. I can't believe, because usually when they slip those things in, it kind of feels forced. It just kind of shows up, and many of these styles just kind of show up so organically within the story. I'm sorry, continue. It's just so good.
And the premise of the game is that humans had to leave Earth because they ruined it, and they had to and they colonized Mars, but in Mars, there's no atmosphere, so they got to live underground. And they thought no one could survive, and they got back and found out that all the people they left on Earth, I mean, they died, but the children were able to breathe the new Earth air. And
their bodies mutated a bit to adapt to the new atmosphere.
and
Yep.
they're sort of raised by wolves and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so now they're coming back and they found you and they want to capture you so they can figure out why this boy can breathe the new air and can they come back to Earth. And so they're chasing you and you are running from them, but not really. And that's all
You're
I'll leave it at.
you're kind of toying with them, if you will. But continue. Yes, yes,
Again,
yes.
this is another game that I played on the Steam Deck. I
Mm.
started it at 9 o'clock and was done by midnight. Like
Mm-hmm.
perfect size. It does not outstay its welcome.
Oh
The
yeah.
platforming is not just something you can ignore. Like you actually have to play it if you're into platformers like that. And like
Mm-hmm.
they're doing so many interesting things in terms of like narrative storytelling in this medium. Like love it, love it, love it. And I think I can't remember how much I paid. I think it was like $10.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's cheap. It's really, really cheap. And they were trying to
Like
be like, oh, buy it now because otherwise it goes up to full price, which is $15. I'm like, come on, like somebody buy this game immediately. You know, it was really
no,
good.
but like 10 but like this will be the best $10 you ever spend if it's still $10.
Yep.
But it's PC, Switch, and PS5.
Yep.
It's not on Xbox. At least not
Unfortunately.
yet.
Yeah.
But like if you
Hopefully,
got a Steam Deck,
those in the sound, those who hear the sound of my voice, you know, this would be an amazing idea at Xbox game, ladies and gentlemen. If it ends up in Game Pass, this would be the most amazing game you did not know you wanted to play. This is like a death's door level of excellence. It really is.
and one other thing, and I am really more and more coming to appreciate shorter games, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
I do not need these things to take 30 hours of my time or you know, just like I call it map diarrhea, where you kind of got to clean all that up,
Map
right? Like I don't need to do all
regurgitations.
that. Like okay, you told your story, you told it in 3 hours, it was $10. I would pay the $10 again.
Mhm.
It was worth every penny. And I think, and we're gonna talk about this later, but things like this, things like what they're doing with Hellblade, keeping it short and sweet, not charging you
Mhm.
$1 million for it, keeping the production budget down, taking chances, right? So you remember when your budget is not that high, and I'm not trying to compare this to a AAA game, but what I'm saying is playing Prince of Persia, playing this, like these things are to me more fun than a lot of the AAA experiences that I have. And if we're talking about issues where production budgets are skyrocketing and they're getting out of control, and we got to talk about for the umpteenth time people getting laid off because there's not enough money coming into these studios to cover that. What if we made smaller projects, took more risk, were able to be more creative, and do more things like Prince of Persia and Shredder's Revenge, and the new Double Dragon and Cookie Cutter and all these things, and Hellblade. If you want to take up the production level, I'm just saying, like, let's get back to these less expensive, shorter experiences, because at the end of the day, for the most part, not every game needs to be a Starfield or an Elden Ring or a Hogwarts. Like we love those, but not everything needs to be that. So, I cannot. And I went on a soapbox here. Back to the matter at hand. Play Cub. It is amazing, and
Yep.
you see that. I don't have to say it. Look what's on your screen. Look what's in front of you.
Yep. And
Anyway,
and
now I'm
and
gonna make my coffee. You can
oh
talk through
yeah,
what you were playing.
yeah. No worries, no worries. And oh, by the way, the moral of the story here for everyone saga is he needs to run, not walk, and go and play inside like immediately. The man has not played inside. What a Travis Shamakri of
Maybe
epic
that's my next
proportions.
game after Prince of Persia. Who knows?
It's also a very short game, very concise, very short game. It set the standard that these guys like are trying to reach, and I tell you that, and I can say that boldly, and know that people in the chat will keep me honest if I'm wrong. It sets the standard. This is a inside like as far as quality level when it comes to animation and how much attention is paid to it, and you know that telling a story without telling a story without speaking. Although let's be fair, in this story they actually speak. There's a narrator. right? They narrate while the story goes. So basically, how the story goes, really quickly for those who aren't aware, it basically starts the story, and you hear, you see like writings of what happened in the story, and you hear the little boy regaling you with the what happened in the story before you end up playing that part, right? So when you're playing the moment to moment, all you're hearing in your ears is the radio, and sometimes no radio. And then when you, after that moment passes, you'll hear the next part of the story that the little boy will come and you'll see more narrative drawings and things like that. But man, this game is something else. It's quite something. And I agree with you, Everborn, on all accounts, that it sets a new standard as far as short quality material, right? It doesn't need to be 50, 60, 110, 200 hours. It does not need that. It's okay if there are some that are that way, which is fine, right? But what we've seen historically is that also equals ballooning budgets. That also equals filler content that the gamer or the consumer themselves don't even want, right? They don't want that filler content. Instead, they want, you know, something that's quality all the way through. And these games are setting that standard. They're letting folks know, hey, you know, you could definitely have a quality game. It might not even cost you that much, right? And sell so many copies because it's quality versus the length of time. But okay, so while Everborn is going to get his coffee, let me switch to another game that I have been playing. And this is also a very, it's funny. It's almost like we planned this, but we totally didn't. Our games these days tend to be almost your it's reductive to call it filler content, because it's definitely not. There are smaller indie type content that usually tend to be played in between the big boys, but more and more I find myself gravitating towards the big boys now. So this game, so before I leave this, what you see on your screen here is The Cub. If you haven't played it, run out and find it and play it. Unfortunately, if you only play on Xbox, you may have to wait a while. It's only on PC, it's on Switch, it's on PS5. Seek it out, play it. It is a very special game. So let us move on from there, and let me try and share with you Army of Ruin. I don't know if you guys have heard of Army of Ruin. Now this one is actually on the Xbox. I think it's on PlayStation and everywhere at this point. The content you're seeing on your screen here is footage of the Steam Early Access version of it. And literally what it is it's a Vampire Survivor-like at this point. I guess that's what you could call it at this point, right? That is a genre of game. And as you can see, they don't shy away from being compared to Vampire Survivor. They're literally a Vampire Survivor-like in all senses of the word. And it offers basically a 3D version of Vampire Survivors, right? And it seems really light on the premise. It seems kind of interesting, but when you start playing this game, man, the depth is absolutely there. Now, I should be, maybe full disclosure, I should be a bit more clear that for me anyway, and I'll let everyone respond if and when he returns, when he returns. But for me, the reason why I tend to gravitate more towards this content is, like, for example, this week, I have been on the go for quite some time. Like it's been a long week for me, where work was pretty serious, work was pretty busy, and because of that, I haven't had a chance to really delve deep into something new, something that may take a lot of time to play and get into. So it's been these smaller experiences where I can pick it up, I can go, I can put it down, and then pick it up again later, right? So those things tend to kind of shift my gaming habits based on what what my daily grind is like, right? So that's why you'll see that I will play. You'll see like I'll be playing these games more than maybe playing other types of games. But honestly, even if I was home, when I find myself finally home hanging out, I also tend to play. These kind of games more and more, because they are just simple premises that kind of suck you in and really like just take you to another place, and you don't need that full huge monster experience that kind of takes you away. You don't need the Spider-Man 2, if you will, in order for it to be a solidified game or something that really takes you there. So this is what I've been playing this week. So let me share. Let me see if I can find more videos of it. Let's see. Yeah, maybe this will show a bit more of it. Yeah. So like what and this is the PC.
I just want to say,
go ahead.
No. And I know you didn't mean it that way, but in case anybody took it that way.
Yeah.
No shade on Spider-Man 2. Those games,
not at all.
Those games are fine, right?
Absolutely not.
Not everything needs to be that.
This
and
is
a lot
my
of
point.
the discourse is if it's not that, then it's not good. And that's what you're speaking against. Not
exactly.
Like,
And let me be 100%. Absolutely, sir. Thank you for avoiding the potential ridiculousness that would come with this conversation. No, I don't mean that Spider-Man 2 is bad. No, absolutely not. I think Spider-Man 2 is brilliant. It's great. What I'm saying is what we have noticed, and we're gonna thread this needle with all the various news stories that you're gonna hear from us today. What I'm saying is it seems that these huge, big budget Starfield, if you will, style games that have ballooning budgets tend to then lead to, bad results unless the game is like ridiculously popular, unless it sells out ridiculously and sets new benchmarks, then bad results happen right after it, right? And it's manifesting itself in the news. So what I'm saying is there can be those AAA huge monster games, but they should be fewer and far between in favor of your Prince of Persias, which are more concise, your Hellblades, which are smaller in scope as far as length of time, right? You can do more as far as visuals without having to make it 800 hours, which also adds to the cost of the game, right? So I think that in the world where there's a breakdown of smaller, concise games ratio to the big monster AAA games, I think we should veer more in the side of the smaller games coming out in more frequency versus the bigger monster games that you potentially,
I mean, do what you want. I'm just saying, don't crap on the smaller games because to me, those things are the things that take the chances with the play mechanics.
Absolutely. Now, yes.
One other thing is, I forgot where I was going with this. Floodzilla threw me off. Anyway, what I was saying is, and by the way,
Flood.
I have not played Spider-Man. I played it for like 20 minutes.
Wow.
I did the opening scene.
Yeah.
Listen, let's be clear. It came out in the same month as Alan Wake 2 and Mario Wonder.
Painful time, no doubt.
And then all these other things came out. So I don't know what everybody expects from me. Now, I remember what I was gonna say.
Yes, sir.
What we are doing is a disservice because the people want to hear about Palworld, and I don't think either of us played it.
No, we're gonna talk about Palworld. We're gonna talk about Palworld as well. But I'm gonna give you my reason I didn't play it, and you're gonna give me your reason you didn't play it. And then, good sir, we are going to have an on the real minute.
My reason is going to be why I'm probably never going to play it. But you go ahead.
Well, I'm basically giving folks a statement of how we're going to go about it. Before we hit the news proper, I'll tell you why I didn't play it. You can tell me why you didn't play it, and then I want to have an on the real minute because something happened last night that I want to talk about from an on the real perspective. And I want to get your take on it, sir, because as usual, I may have an unpopular opinion on the matter, and you're going to have to, lead the band in throwing the virtual tomatoes at me. Shout out to the man, C Money in the chat. What's going on?
I might agree with you.
Bit G. What's going on, sir? All right.
Let's hear what this take is. Let's hear this hot take.
No. So first and foremost, the reason why I didn't play Palworld. Okay, so there are certain franchises and certain IP. Now, let me be clear. Before I say everything I say, I will say that for those who love it, right? There are those who love that Pokemon formula, right? And they love that Pokemon formula so much so that they have been literally screaming in the wind to Nintendo and the Pokemon company to actually give them a proper Pokemon game that they want to enjoy. It hasn't happened for them yet, right? And they've been screaming in the wind for a long time. They always give you half of what you want, not all of what you want. You know, maybe it gives you great mechanics and then terrible gameplay, terrible performance or something like that. They have never really, in the modern era, threaded the needle and given you everything you want. And this is what I hear from the Pokemon lovers, right? So to them, I'm very happy that they have gotten presumably what they have been looking for. It's just in a different, seemingly different package.
Well,
pseudo
it seems
Pokemon
like the
package.
Pokemon lovers did not like this because they felt like it was coming at their baby. But
True.
we can talk about that
That's
later.
the diehards. The diehards seem to be like they are being upstaged by the 4K, not the 4K. I understand, and that has spilled onto them social streets. I know. But
snitching to Nintendo
exactly
to the point where Nintendo got to issue a statement to tell you stop crying. You should be ashamed of yourself,
right? But
let this indie developer eat. Anyway, go ahead.
Let him live, right? Let him live. But what I will say is the reason why I didn't connect with it is, as you guys know, as you guys see on this channel, when you come on this show, when you come and join us and we chat games on Saturday mornings and on Monday nights, we have a certain perch that we come from, right? We have a certain way of games that we enjoy, certain style of games. For me personally, I love when you give me something new, right? Specifically in the indie space, I love it when you're able to either regurgitate old styles and put it in such a new way that it just puts a new spin on things that I appreciate, right? And while I hear from the lovers of Pokemon and the players of this game that that's exactly what they've done here, right? Visually and from a quality standpoint and just a few other artistic choices they made, it just doesn't connect with me, right? It feels to me a bit, it feels like, you know how I just praised the Cub, how it just slipped in all of these older genres and older styles organically, and you didn't see them coming. They just kind of oh, you were just enjoying this story, right? And then all of a sudden you're in Donkey Kong Country for a little bit, and you're just like, whoa, how did that happen? And then there's a shmup in your way, and you're just like, wow, how did they implement that, right? That's not what this is. You can clearly see the seams here.
Okay.
And that to me, it didn't connect.
I see what you're doing. Now, I am going to disagree with you because I didn't play it for a very different reason.
I am not saying, let me be clear, I am not saying that I dislike that it's crap to me or something like that. No, clearly the people who loved this game love this game. And by and large, as I've already said, Pokemon was a time frame in the zeitgeist that missed me.
The game is not
it's
Pokemon
more than that.
game.
No, that's true.
No. But I'm saying it's not that at all. Right.
No,
anyone who has played it will tell you that.
Let me be clear. Let me make my statement before you make it seem like I'm reducing this game. I'm not trying to. What I'm saying is,
you come at the game for the wrong reasons.
Well,
go ahead.
Let me say.
I'll take it a second.
Let me say. All I'm saying is, from those who enjoy the game, they have called out some likes. And all by and large, those connecting tissues are games that by themselves don't connect with me. Meaning gameplay style being Ark, which I'm not. You have to watch your food and you have to watch your survival elements. I'm not a management sim guy like that, right? The gameplay, the look and feel of Fortnite. I'm not a Fortnite player, right? The added amuse-bouche of the pals, which harken back to Pokemon. I'm not really a Pokemon person. It's a combination of gumbo that each ingredient doesn't really work with me. So I was like, look, I love those who love it, and there are many people who I respect who are loving the game. So I'm gonna be over here real quick, and y'all can continue loving that. I'm not gonna yuck your yum.
All right. Just you kind of are, but
I'm not.
If just let me know when I can go. That's it.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Tell me why
I've
I'm a
known
horrible
this
human.
gentleman for a very long time. Kay Asante, my friend, my brother, he just likes to be different. And because everybody's playing this thing, he's like, "Oh, I can't do it
for real."
Because everybody else is doing it.
The man who refused to give Hogwarts Legacy its flowers because everybody else was. You're gonna tell me that,
it had
sir?
Nothing to do with everybody else. I've been a hardcore Harry Potter hater for a long time, and I bought the game just to prove that I wasn't on board with the stupid people that didn't like the game for a stupid reason. Now, The thing is,
Keep going.
I think you did a Freudian slip when you said
Oh,
we stand on our perch. Because you think you
uh-huh.
are above this game, sir.
No, no,
And
I
what I'm
don't.
saying
Not
to
at
you
all.
is you're looking at the
Uh-huh.
Pokemon visual reference and not realizing a lot of the game is kind of like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
And
I know that the style is very Breath
you
of the
get
Wild
the
like. That's
and
for sure.
no, not
Yes.
the art style. I'm talking about the play style. And
Okay.
and there's an arc element to it. And
Yes.
what I'm hearing in the chat is you can turn off the eating
Yes, I hear
food and
you
all
can
that.
turn off
So
the survival elements. I know
so
that.
the
Yes.
thing is, the reason I did not play it and will not play it is because I believe everyone when they say it's so good. But I am not the one to play one of those games that's gonna steal 2,000 hours from my life. I
Sure.
don't have time for it. So I'm not playing it because I believe everybody that it is that good.
Okay.
You have a very different reason.
Yeah, I'm
and
not
your
playing it because
reason
I don't like this style of game. It just doesn't connect with me.
You don't know that. You don't know that you don't like the style of game because you haven't played it.
Oh,
I
and
think you should play it.
and another thing, another reason why it gave me a bad taste in my mouth. I tried to play it, right? The first time I tried to play it, what happened?
You did try to play it.
No, yeah,
You
yeah,
did
yeah. Well, hold on. The first time I tried, right? The first time I actually even tried, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go download this thing, but real quick, let me see it on Game Pass on cloud and see if it would play, right? Guess what happens?
No.
3-5 minute wait time. I'm like, I don't know about that.
You're blaming the game for that.
Sure,
You
I'm
need
not.
to go and play it
Yes.
on Steam because it's gonna be further ahead. I think you should try it, man, because you don't have the same issue that I have with it.
Sure. You know what?
I don't think
And you know what I'll do? You know what I'll do? There will come a time where I will play this game and then I will return with more conversation. I'll tell you, hey, this is really great. But of course, as you know, some of us are still playing games like Prince of Persia, which I haven't finished yet. So that's the thing. It's just one of those things.
Now he's blaming it on Prince of Persia.
No. Listen carefully.
It,
I'm a grazer, and this has not hit my priority point yet. Hey, when these games come out, I go, hey, that's interesting, especially considering that now it's even still in beta or early access or whatever. You know, I'll let people convince me, and at some point you'll see it on my radar. So as we are all frauds, and I see you there in the chat there, Mr. John Wolf, he claims that we are all frauds, and in this instance, there's probably a fraud alert on me. That's fine, but there will come a time where you hear me play this game. But for now, I'm letting others enjoy all of the beta boy energy that I sense from it. So that's why I'm like stepping a little back.
Down calling y'all beta boys.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, my boy. Continue.
This guy, man. Jack 82 in the chat says K is trying to duck his fade in Palworld.
Hey man, look, it's not every game is for every gamer, all right? Thank you, Jack 82. I feel you. Not every game is for every gamer. It is what it is, all right? I saw Palworld. I was like, hey, it is what it is. What am I gonna do? Call me a fraud. It's fine. It's good.
The chat is saying Prince of Persia graphics are more Fortnite than Palworld.
I disagree on that point, but hey, who am I? But then again, I will. But hold on. But then again, I will come into that conversation saying my bias is that I've been playing Prince of Persia for ages. I actually look at. For a long time, I looked at Assassin's Creed with the same side eye that I look at what's his name? What's the other game? Apex Legends. I looked at Apex Legends with a side eye because because of Apex, my wonderful Titanfall will not return, right? And the same thing happened with Prince of Persia in favor of Assassin's Creed. So when they said they were making another Prince of Persia, I was very much day one, right? So that's the reason why I'm like,
I have no way of proving this, and you guys can tell I've had my coffee now.
Okay, yeah, he has his coffee now. There you go. Yeah.
But if 8 million people were playing Prince of Persia,
all of a sudden KSI be like, nah, I hate this game,
and nobody was playing Palworld.
Yep. All of a sudden, Palworld is the game of games.
Yeah.
Look, man, call me a gaming. What are they? Call me a gaming. What the hell are they? Damn it! What do they call again? They wear little beanies on their hats. People talk a lot of smack about them. whatever. I'm a snob. It is fine, whatever. That's fine. It's okay. But for right now, me and a lot of people are really enjoying Prince of Persia. I'm also, there he goes. Of course, Lucius knows exactly what I'm talking about. Hipsters. There you go. So there you go. Absolutely. Call me the gaming hipster. It is what it is. I will take those arrows. And of course, the gaming vulture, not to be denied. He sees my bones being picked, so he needs to get his piece. Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap with a $2 super chat.
He's on your side with this one.
Oh, he is. Oh, never mind. Then I take that last jab back. He says he's played Palworld. It's janky and it's not for me. There you go. And he is the master of the multiplayer. So if he says that,
yeah, but Slow-Mo is also the grumpy old man. So
who's also which is another reason why he and I connect so well. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get off our lawns.
And I call Slow-Mo a grumpy old man, knowing that I'm like 1 month older than him.
He says the gaming vulture. I'm like, no, I don't mean by vulture in that way. I mean when someone's bones are being picked, you're there to take your piece as well. And I know you know what I'm talking about, sir. We'll talk later. Anyway, but no, I agree with him. And he's probably played it more than I have.
Right? Wait a minute. Hold on. One second. Is this correct that there are only 10 likes right now? Is that real? There's 122 people watching. There's only 10 likes.
Actually, from my perch, there's 42 likes, which is still inappropriate, but at least it's a little bit better. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so,
10 likes was kind of disrespectful. I'm not gonna lie.
Please, if you haven't done so, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button. We appreciate you being here. We love it on a Saturday morning for y'all to come and join us, and we talk gaming and we regale you with why we are terrible gamers. I speak for myself in this, but still, we appreciate y'all being here. And also, while you're at it, consider joining the Discord. I have put the link in the chat. We are enjoying ourselves in that Discord. We're always having fun in there, sometimes having very long podcasts, because Discord is on the phone as well. So you happen to be working and doing whatever you're doing, and you're still listening in and having your likes as well. Go ahead, everyone. You were saying.
Yeah, if you like listening to GCP, I'm telling you, if you want GCP unplugged,
indeed,
things that happen when there's a big news thing. Because this is another thing. I have been trying. I'm not perfect at this, but I try not to, whenever there's a big news item, to sort of jump in the fray and force my opinion out there. Like if I see an article, I might share it with an eyeball emoji, but I feel like everybody is very quick to put their stamp on something, and then they either got to delete tweets or clarify later and all of that. Yep. So I try not to
measure twice, strike once.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But if you want raw emotions, go in that Discord, because we get in there and we will talk through a lot of these things in real time. If you want
the roller coaster ride of emotions, ladies and gentlemen, which sometimes lasts over the course of the day, please join the Discord, because some of them conversations, boy, woo, all right. But it's fun. It's fun in there.
Yeah, Discord is great. And every time I work on the game, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night, whenever I get time, I just stream it live. And sometimes people jump in and we have a conversation. Sometimes they don't. But if you want to see me working on these games in real time, and soon, because we're going to be dropping Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 soon, you can see me work on comics as well. So come to the Discord. That is one of the bonuses. And also, we have private channels in the Discord for the people who are members of a certain tier of the channel. So also join the
for my bots and hooves out there. My bots and hooves out there. Join the Discord. There will be a special channel for you. I actually need to go update all of bots and hooves members and get them into that special channel. But yes, and oh, by the way, just so you know, and I haven't said it loudly, but I'm going to say it loudly now for my members that are in the chat here. All 115 people watching, which we appreciate. Thank you all so much. If you join our Discord, there will be giveaways of game codes in the general Discord, as well as game code giveaways in the private Discord. So obviously, the bigger the channel, the lesser your opportunity. So I'll be doing one next week. So if it's still kind of young and new and there's not a lot of people in there, it almost guarantees you a slot of getting a cool new game. So join us in the Discord. Question. Yes, sir.
This is completely unrelated.
No worries, man. Go ahead.
But Floodzilla in the chat calls Slow-Mo an NVIDIA henchman. And that made me think, which, by the way, is hilarious.
Absolutely,
so shout out
it is. What up, Flood? A great member of our Discord, Floodzilla. Salute to you, good sir. Go ahead.
Completely unrelated, right? Yeah. And I would probably never purchase an AMD GPU because
why?
I do not understand how the naming conventions work. So what is a 6800 versus I don't even know what they mean. So explain to me the comparisons between, because I know what a 3080 means. I know it, or a 4080 or a 4070 or 4090. I understand that naming convention and what I'm buying. I don't know how that works for AMD. How do you compare them?
So okay, I will let the chat speak for it, and I'll let Lon right here. Here we go. So all you need to know is that your 7900 XTX is your 4080, right? And then the X without the 7900 XT without the other X is your 4070, and that's how they're traversing that line. If you want to go deep on all of the various models and how they give or take away features, then you're gonna have to join us on the Gamers Playground on Monday nights with myself and Mr. John Wolf.
Thank you. I'm not gonna do that because you know what? You know, it's very easy to understand when I'm buying a 4080, 4080 Ti or a 4090. And so, and yes, consoles.
There you go. There you go. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, back to the troglodyte conversations. Bam.
Well, listen. I will say this though. If I am right about my prediction of Steam OS being generally available to the public with the Steam Deck 2, I will be building whatever the best PC I can build at that time with that OS and just putting it under the TV.
True. I mean, that would revolutionize a lot of people's flow as far as entertainment. So that's why I agree with you that Microsoft needs to get on the clip real quick and get this
what I'm saying. We're about to lose a pay pig, Microsoft, if they don't get their act together, because what are we doing here, man? Just make an Xbox OS, call it a day. So many people would and anyway, I don't want to get into that.
With 120 folks in here, we say thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so. We got 65 likes. It's getting up there. But of course, we appreciate more likes. 120 folks in here. Please hit that like button. Please consider subscribing if you're not a subscriber here. We do have various tiers of membership. You don't have to join us if you can't join us in that way. We appreciate you being here anyway. But if you can, we appreciate that as well. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let us move on to some of the conversations and the news that are on there. And this episode is called The Way of Things for a reason. There seems to be a lot of...
We should have called it The Bill Always Comes Due.
Well, yeah. The Way of Things / The Bill Always Comes Through. Yeah, I know. That would have been a more apt... That was more of an apt title, but we're calling it that because... As there's a lot of gloom and doom around, and there's sadness, and rightfully so, you know, we may be the people that have to provide the context this week for why certain things are the way they are. But let's start with on a lighter note, and even that I'm a little sad about it. But let's start on the lighter note and say we're pouring one out for Focus Entertainment because they will no longer exist. Focus will be what? Pull Up Entertainment.
Yes. They are
Palindrome Entertainment.
They're going to be signing rap artists now because Pull Up Entertainment is a rap label name.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
for sure.
Their latest hits to come out.
Indeed.
And they're going to be doing music videos, and they're going to have court cases, and they're going to be popping bottles, and it's going to be great.
See now, and for those who might not remember
Focus
what Focus
Entertainment
Entertainment
is now
does,
going to do drill music.
it's gonna be drill music. Like, come on, man. Give them the respect due them, I should say. Because Focus Entertainment, for those who aren't aware, like a lot of people, like that one of their big franchises, Greedfall, Insurgency Sandstorm, they've made a lot of games. A Plague Tale, the Plague Tale series, right? That's them. Focus Entertainment, right? Chained Echoes, a lot of great games that have come to Game Pass, if you recall, in the last few years. Even some of them that I think that they made a game in the Warhammer franchise as well, right? They've made some really, really interesting games, and now they're called Pull Up Entertainment. I hope all goes well with them because last time a game studio that was related to Embracer had their name changed, the next thing happened, they were kind of out the door. So I'm hoping that's not the case here. So pour one out for Focus, and hopefully Pull Up stays around for a little longer. We shall see. Another thing, Nintendo informed the public that coming pretty soon, April 4th, I think it is, April 4th, 2024, you will no longer be able to connect to online services with your Nintendo 3DS or your Wii U systems. Mr. Everborn Saga, does that plus you in any way, or are you nonplussed by this news, sir?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Okay.
Right? And let me tell you why I don't care.
Go ahead.
Because I have a Steam Deck. And if I wanted to play those games, I would have emulated them anyway.
Oh, Doug just dispatched the Nintendo ninjas. They're coming for you, sir. They just dispatched the Nintendo ninjas. You should see the Shinobi just drop from the ceiling on you real quick. But okay.
All those games are purchased and ripped in a legal manner for anyone that's listening.
That's right.
And they can't stop me from emulating.
I bring this story up because...
Don't hate, emulate. Okay.
This guy.
That was my one for the day.
I bring up this story because we're hearing, right? And this is the needle I'm threading specifically on here. I bring this up specifically because we're hearing that Walmart and a few other distributors are no longer, Walmart and Best Buy in the United States, are no longer going to carry physical media on Xbox games. Now, I don't know if that's happening on PlayStation yet. It hasn't necessarily happened just yet. I haven't heard the news stories of that, but we've heard them talk about physical games being removed. We've heard rumors that, obviously not even rumors, we've heard official announcements that games like the next Hellblade will be only digital, right? Digital only, there'll be no physical version of it, right? So, as recently, and we will talk fully more about the layoffs that have happened, but some of the one of the main places that were hit in these layoffs was the physical departments, the arm that created physical media for Microsoft's Xbox games have also been hit, so they will no longer be releasing physical media of their games anymore. So all of that is to say, we find ourselves in a world where it looks like the Band-Aid is finally being ripped off. How does that sit with you, sir?
As far as I understand it, this is just from me looking at the timeline. It is all Xbox's fault.
Okay.
They did this. It's all on them. Nintendo and Sony and everyone else moving away from physical media, following the music and the movie industry. It's all Microsoft's fault. I don't know how. Neither does anyone else, but it doesn't stop people from saying it. Personally, I have not bought a physical disc since 2013. In fact, the only Blu-ray I own, I told you this offline, is the Matrix trilogy.
Which is the only Blu-ray humans should be owning. Only right now.
And
come on.
I've never actually watched it.
Well, you don't have to say that part. Come on, you leave that part out of it.
No. That's not what I mean. I watch the Matrix every year, every 2 years. 1 and 2, I try to pretend like 3 doesn't exist. But I watch it. I stream those when I want to watch them, right? Because that's like Why would I keep around a DVD player?
Mm.
I don't use, like, I've literally never put a disc in the Series X or the
Mm-hmm.
PS5
Mm-hmm.
because who cares? And 80% of people agree with me.
And oh, by the way,
Um,
before we continue, let us clarify. Let's make sure we put righteous information out there. And Alex, thank you so much for clarifying. He says that Jez clarified that Xbox isn't ditching physical media yet, which I don't disagree. Let me be clear here. When they downsize like that, they then will offset to a third-party vendor or something. So you will still continue to get your physical media, but their full their full what do you call it, product line that they have for physical media is being downsized and being downscaled. Yeah, continue.
What is the purpose of a physical disc when you get that disc? All it has is a hex code, and then you still have to do 100 gig download.
Sir, you now are fully threading the needle of why I wanted to have this quick conversation.
Right? So, and if that is the case, that disc is going to be worthless for you in the unlikely future that Microsoft is no longer around before you're off this earth.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Yes. They are downscaling their efforts, right? I understand that. They are downscaling their efforts. It's not completely gone just yet, right? But for those of us who don't get to see the background numbers, clearly the reason they're downscaling the numbers is because most of us, even those of us who have the physical consoles, don't really put discs in it. Salute to the man, the Wandering Dutch, out here playing Palworld. Now, when I said before that for those who play it and love it, I respect that, I was thinking clearly on him, first of all, because I know he's a big Pokemon lover, and I've seen him play it on stream once or twice, Palworld, and he's enjoying himself. And I never caught the Pokemon bug, so when I see him enjoying it, I think it's amazing. I wish I had caught that bug. I didn't. But he plays it, and I respect him, and I respect his opinion. So that's why I'm like, I defer to the man, the Wandering Dutch. Salute for being here, and salute for being in the chat. I appreciate you for being here. But no, on the topic of physical media, you've helped me get that point across exactly, Everborn. I want to have that grown man talk with people and let them know that your physical media, the reason why people were complaining about, oh, why is there no Hellblade physical and all of that, unfortunately, they have been lying to you since the 360 gen. Somewhere in the 360 gen is when the lies began. And I'm not talking about just Xbox. Everyone has been lying to you, except for maybe Nintendo. Nintendo's still been telling you the truth. All the others have been passing you physical dummies, if you will, right? There's no real media on the drive. And if there is media on the drive, it has a requirement to connect to a digital source, an online source, before you can even use it, right? So in that world, your physical media is a paperweight waiting to happen when somebody off-site just pulls the trigger one day and turns the thing into a useless piece of crap, which sucks, right? You know, I, as anybody who have paid attention to this channel will know, I'm big on game preservation. I love the fact that I can still hand my children like an OG like device and let them play like Nintendo games, like OG Nintendo games. My son, my 4-year-old son, has been playing and beating games like on the Genesis, like Sonic and games like that. Like the games that I played, exactly the way I played them. It's not this newfangled stuff. I've been transitioning them to the newer stuff. But I think it's very valuable to get them to put it in their hands the way it was and let them experience it that way. So they've experienced the OG Mario Kart as well as the new Mario Kart, right? And my fear is the world we live in today, you will not be able to give that to your kids and say, hey, this is how it was. You can't play, Halo Infinite 30 years from now when they've decided to turn the servers off without a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the stuff that bothers me. And I guess I'm saying all this to sound the alarm that back in the day when we were complaining that this is what we wanted, folks didn't listen, and now folks are complaining, which is great. You're on board, but it's a little too late now, I think. And this is them just basically finally telling you the truth that those fake discs are no longer worth making anymore, because that's all they were, fake discs. None of them have actual real content on it. Now, that's my take on it. Everborn Saga, tell me I'm being ridiculous, sir. Oh, there you go. Yes.
No, I mean, so The one thing is like being able to trade your
Mm-hmm.
physical discs and give them away, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I know there's also like account sharing
Mm-hmm.
or having a home Xbox or game sharing and things like that.
Yep.
So I think as long as there is some mechanism like where you can kind of do that, it's fine. But I mean, if you cared about game preservation, and I really hate to say this, you would be gaming on PC.
Oh, the man speak. Well, even
As much
there,
as it pains me. The point is, PC has gone
yeah,
digital, and PC has more preservation than consoles ever
sure,
did.
absolutely, absolutely, yes, absolutely,
So,
yep,
and
yep,
PC has been digital forever. So
yep.
the preservation conversation has already been lost because you're
Slow-mo
not
just
really
gave me
getting
a
anything.
slow-mo just gave me a mission accomplished wink real quick. Just well done, sir. And I, you know what? I'll add to that. If you really, really care about game preservation, I hate to say this as well, right? It is what it is. The only people that really own their content are the people who own their content and their hands aren't tied by the vendor who gave it to them, right? In other words, the only way you really own that game is if it's ripped on your hard drive and the ties that connect it to whatever store are disconnected. Because at any moment, as much as we love Steam, and you know me, right? They always accuse me of game bucks.
You gotta air gap your PC if you want to own these
That's right.
games.
That's right. Right. You know me. You know the game bucks. Right. They accuse me of having those, but I'll tell you, at any moment's notice, Valve can decide, okay, well, we no longer have an accord with, I don't know, name your publisher, and clip your wings, and there goes your game from your library. That can happen, right? It happens on the movie side all the time. The only way you actually own it is if you rip it from their source and keep it for yourself, and now it's yours, and you can replay it whenever you want, right? And of course, that's the reason why they don't like you to do that, because now they don't have control over what you can and cannot do with it. If you read the EULA, you never owned it in the first place. You're just renting the license, right? So we are in this unfortunate world where the fight has just begun in people, I think, but y'all have already lost the thread, unfortunately. I was fighting that fight back in the 360 days. Nobody was with me on them picket signs, and now it seems like it's over already. You know, the parachutes have been clipped. We're already over the mountain. We're falling. We're almost on the ground. It's too late now. I'm sorry. You know, so you're gonna start seeing more and more of this happen. So yes, I see y'all in there. Thank you, emulation. Yes, you're gonna have to learn to be emulators soon enough, because that's the only way you're potentially gonna be able to keep your games around, you know, in the world we find ourselves. So Sycamore 007 with a $10 super chat. Salute to you, good sir. Another great member of our Discord community. He says physical discs perform better on price versus digital. Moving all to digital has no benefits to your wallet. There are games in the digital market at full price versus physical media going down in price. You are absolutely right on that, sir. And to you, I will say, to you and to many of those who've brought that up as a potential. Let's see. So to those of you who brought that up as a potential, and I do hear you on that, because that is a factor in the equation. I will give you the pro tip of deals.gg, ladies and gentlemen, deals.gg. Now, this is a tip that I give to the folks in our Discord, and I also give that pro tip on the Gamers Playground from time to time. This place, because some people will say, oh, go to CD Keys, and others will say, hey, go to this other place. This aggregates all the deals over all the sites, including deals.gg and everywhere else. So when a game comes out and there's a potential sale to be had, you look through these pages and it'll tell you that while Palworld costs something, I don't even know how much Palworld costs right now. Oh, it's $30 on Steam right now. The cheapest price for it is $20. And you can see that right there. And it's worldwide, right? Green Man Games is also there. You know, there are many sites that give you really good deals on it. And this deals.gg site aggregates all of that. So if Green Man is the best one, you'll see that float to the top. If CD Keys is the best one, you'll see that one float to the top. But yes, this is really cool. I understand that that's a problem. And yes, for sure it is. When you go digital, then the ties that bind as far as how the vendors control the pricing becomes more difficult. But historically, I have found that this deals.gg, both on console and on PC, tend to be good for you. Steam, you Nintendo guys, unfortunately, I can't help you there. More often than not, Nintendo got no deals for you. But yes, both consoles and on PC, I find that deals.gg tend to be pretty useful for us. Everborn Saga, have you used this before? I don't even know if you have had access to using deals.gg. Mr. Double Dipper, have you used this before?
You know I haven't used this, man.
Oh, come on
How'd
now.
you even ask
You should
a
be
question
using
like
this.
that?
You should be using this. This is how you save your dollars,
if
man.
you see things, then send them my way. I'm always, but I can't be following all these sites, man. You sons of guns are trying to just suck me into this PC thing.
Hey, man. It's what
that doesn't deserve a pause, but I'm going to say pause just in case before somebody in the chat says anything.
Indeed.
I don't want to build a PC library, but
you are. You are.
Well, that's thanks Microsoft.
Thanks Microsoft.
They're driving me away.
And on that note, I hate to do it because you're reluctantly building your Steam library. If you're reluctantly like him building a Steam library, another place you want to go and check periodically, humblebundles.com. Yes, that's right. humblebundles.com. If you're building that reluctant Steam library, let's see what they have there for today. I'm giving you a little snippet of what we do on the Gamers Playground. See, on Humble Bundles, this week they have what? Souls-like games that you can play, and 9 games in this bundle. And of the 9 games, you can pay as much as $15 and you get all 9 of them. Right now, sometimes they are amazing. Sometimes there are some indies that you never heard of before. I see Remnant among the list. There are many games like this in the list. And before long, you go from 1Z, 2Z game to the 300 plus library that I have. So check this out. Here's one that's at least $10 and you get these 8 games. And yeah, they are heavy hitters in the gaming industry. Celeste is among them. Borderlands is among them. Sprawl, which we talked about. And of course, for my Everborn lovers, we have your Sonic Adventure also among the list. This is how you build your Steam library, ladies and gentlemen. This is how that works. So yeah, before long, you now have like 40, 50 games in Steam and you don't want to go anywhere and launchers are annoying to you. This is how it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So that we'll leave that there. But here's where we take a turn, because unfortunately things start getting very sour as far as the news is concerned. And the first one is, speaking of indies, Ruiner. I don't know if you folks have played Ruiner. I enjoyed Ruiner a lot. It's one of the first almost twin stick indie style games that kind of made a mark in the industry of the in recent years. A very cool indie neon elements to it. The developer that made that game, Raycon, I think is how you pronounce that, Raycon Games, laid off half of its staff. Right, and that was 60 to 70 people were laid off, and that's like the recent occurrence. And obviously everyone is going to start seeing a pattern here. Their game, cyberpunk style game, interesting game, but it didn't blow the world away. It didn't set the world on fire. Right, really awesome game, really interesting. Like kind of how all these other games that we've been talking about on this channel, your Metroidvania styles, your The Cub and games like Cookie Cutter that we're discussing, same vein, but this is a studio that was pumping a few of those out in succession. They've been doing really good, but unfortunately, here we go, casualties of the scenario, casualties of the market in general, and it looks like they laid them off. Now, Mr. Everborn Saga, Raycon Games, Ruiner. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. What are your thoughts, sir?
I haven't heard of them. You said Raidcon or Raycon?
Raycon.
Is this like the Ray J sunglasses?
No, it's not the Ray J.
It's not the Ray J sunglasses. Okay,
it's not sunglasses as well. It's earbuds, sir. That's what the Raycon things are.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. You're showing everybody you're showing everybody your gray beard status. Yes, continue, sir. Go ahead.
It's crazy that knowing Ray J makes you a gray beard. That's how you know you're old.
Look at that. Look at that. That's right.
I was on mute. I'll tell you. I just want to. Can we just? And I want to talk about all this because this leads into something, but I don't want us to get derailed later. Could we have that little on the real minute right now and come to this in a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
I need to tell you something.
Yes, go ahead.
You know how they were shooting scenes from the Penguin in my neighborhood, and they did an action scene and all that?
I recall. Yes.
Yeah, so they've been filming for the last couple of weeks, building like makeshift buildings that they were going to blow up. A lot of things they were doing. So it turns out, and this is not my quote, they're calling Westchester, specifically Yonkers, the new Hollywood on the East Coast.
Okay.
Lionsgate just built a studio, like a film and TV studio in Yonkers.
Well, okay.
And there's another studio also that's being built as we speak, 100,000 square feet on North Broadway in Yonkers.
Wow.
And they're going to be filming a lot more things here in my neighborhood. So we
very cool, man.
We may have to.
Y'all are becoming Hollywood, man. Hollywood.
No, because this is the thing. That means it's going to be like Atlanta, where you get all the traffic.
Yes.
But the studio that Lionsgate built is the biggest film and TV studio on the East Coast.
Wow. Okay.
This is bigger than the one that Disney has in Atlanta.
That's amazing, bro. Damn.
And so, and again, Yonkers is like the mafia over here. We joke about that, but maybe it is. Maybe it's not a joke. But I'm sure they got some crazy tax breaks, but it'll spur investment. My only issue is that it might cause a lot of traffic because it was like hell getting to my brother's house, which is 3 blocks away from me, when they were filming that Batman stuff. So I hope that doesn't happen where I am. But on the plus side, it'll probably bring my property value up. So
that's good.
What did you want to talk about for On the Real?
Yes, I appreciate you doing, and that's cool news, bro. Hopefully we get some interesting tidbits for the Everborn Saga who saw it live when it was happening. That's cool, bro. That's awesome.
We get some inside.
So I used to live in Rhode Island, and when I lived in Rhode Island, they filmed a lot of TV shows there, so that's pretty cool. I also spent some time in Canada where they film a lot of stuff there. So I think for my graybeards, if you remember the movie Booty Call, my mother and I are literally walking through that movie because we were walking when they were filming it, and I caught myself. Go watch the movie. This is not there. Yeah. Anyway, let's move forward.
Yeah, you're also in the Halo series, but that's fine.
No, we're not talking about that one. But no, let's
I mean, we're gonna have to talk about it in like a week.
At some point, yeah, we're gonna start. We're gonna start talking about it. So, what I wanted to talk about as far as On the Real, as everybody knows, many people will know, I am a Marvel zombie from way back. But of course, that's Marvel Zombie in the comic book sense. I used to love all the comic books when I was a kid. I used to watch a lot of the cartoons. I used to read a lot of the comic books way back when. Me and Mr. John Wolf connected in that way. He's got a sleeve of tattoos on it. The skin doesn't allow for tattoos to show well, so maybe I didn't go that far. But I have a big appreciation of the comic books, the Marvel comics of old, right? So I was day one in on MCU, and of course over time my love of it has waned. I haven't even watched Echo, right? I tend to be more of an apologizer for that genre than anyone because I walk in with that bias, right? So you'll get me to watch it more than anyone else. I loved the Kamala Khan show, the Miss Marvel. I love all that stuff. I'm a huge apologizer for Captain Marvel, the movie, right? So I say all this to say I have fallen off that train, right? And even as recently as the Ant-Man one, Ant-Man and the Wasp with Jonathan Majors, I still haven't seen that movie. Yeah, the guy who got railroaded. I still haven't seen that movie, which is insane for a person like me. I was day one movie theater for all MCU
That
games.
is the
Movies.
biggest fear, I
Yeah.
think, for Kevin Feige.
For
and the
Marvel.
folks at
Yes.
Marvel
People like me
Studios
are disconnected now. Yes.
It's apathy, right?
Yes.
Like if you
But here's
don't
the
care.
thing. Here's the thing. I'm bringing this plane into the station because I am saying I might have been wrong about something. And I may have an unpopular opinion here. So here we go.
He admits he's wrong.
No, but you're gonna disagree. You're gonna disagree with me on this one. Because I watched last night The Marvels. And I had so much fun with it. I don't understand why people hate this movie. Huh?
Did it come to Disney Plus?
No, I watched it through. I bought it. I bought it through. Well, rented it through the Apple TV. Blah blah blah. No. I watched it with my kids. Stop it. No. That's not the place. That's not the play we're going with. No. That's not Netflix. Stop it. No, like I'm surprised because I remember the flack the movie caught when it first came out, right? And I think because of all the flack it was catching, and at the time I was very busy, so I didn't make time for it to go see it. And I mean the Marvels, right? And then I happen to catch it now. It's actually pretty good, like really good. And I'm like, and the Easter eggs in there, and the cliffhanger it leaves. I'm like, I expected this to be actually hot garbage, and it wasn't. I don't know. Have you seen it yet, the Marvels?
I'm waiting for it to come to Disney Plus.
It's on Apple. It's on Apple TV.
Yeah. I'm not paying to rent that. It'll come to Disney Plus. I'm not that pressed. It'll be there in a week or two.
I just happen to be in the mood. I was like, look, I haven't been. I unsubscribed. I unsubscribed to Disney Plus. I unsubscribed to it because I had watched everything, and the stuff that was there I wasn't really interested in. I heard Echo was trash, so I wasn't paying attention to it. You know, all these
for the kids.
Yeah, and again, my kids are now very much YouTube Kids focused rather than Disney Plus. I'm just like, hey, if y'all are not using it, I'm gonna get rid of it and probably put it back when something useful comes up. I was hoping the Echo would be that, and it wasn't, right? But I watched the Marvels, and I don't know if y'all want to go deep on spoilers because I really want to talk about it. Like,
relax, take it easy. I'm gonna watch it.
Oh, you're gonna watch it? Okay.
So my thing is just to button up that conversation.
Sure.
More and more lately,
yeah,
I have not felt the urge or the need to go out to a movie theater. It's just not worth it for me. And I would much rather, in most cases, rent a movie, because I rent horror movies almost every weekend. I just didn't care about the Marvels enough to say I need to rent it now when I know it's going to come to Disney Plus soon. But it's just so much involved with going to the theater.
There's just so surprising the places they go. I won't spoil it. I'll say, like, the things that people have wanted from Disney for so long, the needles they've wanted them to thread for so they finally do it. It's just
I think you need to slow down a little bit. I think you're a little bit too hyped because you haven't seen a Marvel thing in a while, and now you're going crazy.
Look, mark my words, gentlemen. Whenever One Saga watches this, because there are two like really, really big nuggets. One less so, but the other one is just like, we will have this conversation.
Yeah, we'll see. But my whole point is, I think that the issue with the MCU is that there was just too much of it, and once you are broken from the trance that you need to see everything, you realize you don't really have to see much of it except the ones you care about.
And when you start falling behind, you really fall behind. Like, you really fall behind. Right. And then when you jump into another show, it's like, oh, why is this person here with this person? These people have powers? When did that happen? Like, you really fall behind. Yeah.
You don't really care about that. Like, I'll tell you what will get me to go to the movies. Deadpool 3. Right?
If only Infinite Umbra. If only. Sir, pay me off. It's right up the street. Pay me off. Let's go. I'm sorry.
So this is the thing. I would like right now with the movies, I'm not going just because you made a movie. It has to look.
It has to be good. It has to be worth it.
And
yeah.
So The Marvels did not look appealing. Maybe it is, but I'll find that out when it comes to streaming. But I will go to the theaters for Deadpool, and I will go for Monkey Man. That is so everyone's attributing it to Jordan Peele, and he does deserve credit because this movie was going to go straight to Netflix. But it's basically John Wick but in Mumbai, and it is written, directed, and starring Dev Patel.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Let's go.
Hardcore action, gun fu, all that stuff.
Okay.
Produced by Jordan Peele. Written, starring, and directed by Dev Patel. Takes place in India. Looks very good.
And that's a quick aside on that. Isn't it interesting? Go ahead.
It was gonna go. It was slated for Netflix, and Jordan Peele saw it and was like, "Nah, we're putting this in the theater." So he attached his name to it, and that's why he's a producer on it. But this is Dev Patel's directorial debut.
Isn't it interesting because of the various strikes and stuff that's going on, it's forced the Hollywood or the purveyors of streaming services to search outside, and that might end up being a benefit for, like, outside Hollywood, the international entertainment scene. Those places are becoming far more beneficial, or getting far more chances, because while Americans were busy on the picket sign, they were still making movies. It may have become a secret way.
I don't think this is a Bollywood thing, though. I think it is.
No, yeah, I know it's in corroboration with Hollywood, but the stars will most likely all be Bollywood entertainers.
I'm sure of it, yes.
This is my thing, right? While y'all are on the picket sign trying to fight for your better wages, which I'm not saying you shouldn't be righteous, right? But at the same time, those that are hungry to eat in Mumbai are getting work because of that. You know what I mean? It's very interesting how that's working out. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
So I keep hearing people telling me I need to watch RRR.
Oh, are you serious? You haven't seen RRR? You're nuts.
No.
Wow.
I tried watching it. I couldn't get into it.
Bro, you need to try again.
It was too much with what they were expecting me to believe about physics.
Look, it is a roller coaster ride. You need to put your hands in the air. You need to just go with it. It is incredible, sir. Incredible. And when you're done, you're going to be walking around doing the dances all day.
I watched the first 20 minutes and I was like, this ain't for me.
It is incredible, sir.
I will try it again, but
so
couldn't get into it. It's like RRR is like the Baldur's Gate of movies for me. Everybody loves it. I know. I respect it, but it's not for me.
He said it's the Baldur's Gate of. Oh, that's good. Well done. I like that. That's good. Okay. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your On the Reel few minutes for the week. There most likely will be more in this realm, because I want to talk more movies and stuff like that. I think it's useful in this realm. Oh my God. Did I just see the Infinite Umbra ask the question, what is RRR? Wow, sir. Seek it out immediately. Run, don't walk. Run, don't walk. Don't listen to the Everborn downplayer. Run, don't walk. It's that good. It really is. It is. It represents the Bollywood culture of movies really well. It's one of those things where they say, why do people like Bollywood movies so much? RRR. Go watch that. Right? It's what they can do that Hollywood can't.
Bollywood has better movies than RRR, but it's no Raid or Raid Redemption.
Well, but see, this is the thing. Raid and Raid Redemption is them trying to make an American action movie. What RRR is what they're doing best for themselves. It's not necessarily what you're doing.
Raid was directed by Gareth Edwards, a white American. Maybe he's British. I don't know, but it wasn't directed by someone from Indonesia. Is my point. And RRR was directed by someone from India. I mean, not that matters. Whatever. You make a good movie. You make a good movie.
And it's a good movie. People should watch it. People should definitely watch it. Yes. So, but anyway, let us get back to
the Bollywood Circle podcast.
The Bollywood Circle podcast. Let's get back to the story at hand. And yes, we were going to go down the path of business as usual in the gaming industry with layoffs. I mentioned Ruiner. There are a few others as well. Ruiner was one, which was unfortunate. Riot Games is another, laying off 530 staff members. Now, I feel like there is a sea change coming in the gaming industry that we need to talk about, and we will talk about it. And I think it's a useful conversation. But I feel like sometimes a lot of people are conflating the scenarios together because it's useful and it happens to be serendipitous. But Everborn, I'll let you give me your thoughts on that. You know, we're seeing various places where this is happening. What are your thoughts?
I want to start out with what I don't want to do and what I've been noticing in the discourse. And this is not just me hanging with the dogs. This is me reading allegedly reputable news sites and listening to certain so-called journalists and things like that. A lot of people, and forget about the people who are using, layoffs as console war bait, whatever. But a lot of people are taking layoffs that are happening right now and trying to use them as gotchas or I told you so's. And a lot of those people don't really care that anyone got laid off. They just want to say gotcha or I told you so, right? There's a broader thing happening in the industry now. We know that and this is I think none of this is happening in a vacuum is ultimately what I'm getting at. So whether it's Riot, whether it is Raycon, whether it's the Unity, whether it is Discord, whether it is Riot Games, all of these things are connected because there are a lot of people hired based on the demand they had. They hired based on the projects they were working on. And now, as interest rates go up and it is not as easy to take loans to pay your payroll and your staff and things like that, you can't keep people on, especially when a lot of these businesses who are run by the bean counters, they expect some form of contraction in the economy. So they are trying to, on top of looking at revenues go down, they're also expecting that sales to continue to slide, and they are expecting some form of an economic downturn. Now, how soft we land in that, who knows, but they're trying to prepare themselves for that. And this is also comes at a time where gamers are sort of beginning to sour on service games. And the issue with gamers souring on service games, a lot of the industry has pivoted towards service games, trying to chase Fortnite monies or the war zones or the Minecrafts or whatever. And so as we see a lot of people who have invested in 6-year-long dev cycle projects with 300-400 developers, 1,000 developers in some cases, we're seeing costs skyrocket because nobody's going to take a pay cut, right? We're seeing headcounts rise. We're seeing development times double and sometimes triple what they used to.
Because their ambitions aren't being tailored.
The path that the industry is on is an unsustainable one, and what you're seeing is sort of a correction in headcount. And sadly, I do not think we have seen the end of it. I'm saying all this is because we have to talk about these things in those contexts instead of the basic, this is the basic bitch argument that capitalism is bad or consolidation, right? It's like there's a lot happening, and there's a lot that we're gonna witness a sea change in the industry, and I don't think, or I hope a lot of these people will land on their feet. A lot of these people will land on their feet in the same company. A lot of these people will form their own companies. A lot of people will go to other companies. Because one thing about gaming is that it actually, writ large, I believe, is still is still growing, right? And Jez said something very interesting, which was a lot of these companies thought that all the new gamers that were coming online during the lockdown, they thought that these people have discovered gaming and that they would stay gamers, not realizing that they were only gaming because they were forced to be inside. And so you're seeing a reduction in hours played. You're seeing a reduction in but people are saying it's AAA, but it's not just AAA. It's the over reliance on service games as well, right? All those things are connected. So, you know, the fact, and again, there's a lot of people saying these guys made record profits. The problem with that is, a lot of these companies may have a hit, but they're one flop away from being in trouble, right? A lot of the business is driven off of debt, right? And if you don't have and no business, I don't care who you are. I employ contractors for my comic book and stuff, and my other business, I employ 4 W-2 people, right? And I got people that report to me in my day job. Right? You're not going to, I don't care what size your company is. And this is just me speaking from an independent contractor to an employer to someone who works for one of those big corporations. Those are all places that I play at some level. And I don't care what the size of the company is, you cannot keep people on that are redundant.
Yep.
Right? And this doesn't mean that the only the right people are let go, because that sounds crazy, but we don't know that. They may have let go the wrong people, they may have done all these things, but I don't think any specific news you hear about layoffs is happening in a vacuum, and I think we're gonna see a sea change. And personally, I think the answer is smaller games, and smaller teams and new people starting up games, right? Like, look what you have on your screen right now.
Yeah,
it is still January. 5,900
fired.
And fired is the wrong word, because they were
it's
not
laid off.
a lot of them are laid off, and
they're gonna be laid off from their current positions, and some potentially hired in new positions. But the way the system works, you got to go through the letting them go to then bring them back, and this is an aggregated amount based on what they've heard. So real quick before we continue, let me quickly, and we'll dig into the Microsoftness of it all. But in general, so far, and these are all reported by reputable sources, Unity 1,800 people, reported by Rutgers. Riot Games 530 people. Twitch 500 people. Playtika, I'm not sure what games they make, but between 300 and 400 people. Discord 170 people. Thunderful, and if you know Thunderful, they make a lot of those great indie games that we have talked about on this show before. Over at least 100 people gone there, right? Behavior Interactive 45 people. It's just a lot of people being let go from their positions. Now, some of that is standard churn, as you know, right? Hey, we're done with this part of our development. We have to let the contractors move on to other parts, right? So that we can then pick up different people to then start that part of development. But by and large, it just speaks to a large industry that is kind of churning people in and out based on their need. And there has to be a better solution, because you don't want. I see both sides of it, right? Business needs to be business, and there's no way that a small indie group like, for example, the Everborn Saga will have to be able to keep on all of the staff full time when your function is no longer necessary. And the only other way of keeping you around full time is you would have to be multifaceted in your skill set, right? And if you are multifaceted in your skill set, being an expert coder and maybe also an artist, you would command or demand a higher piece of the pie, and you'd earn that because you are so multifaceted, and maybe somebody in an indie space can't afford you. So the scenario on the ground is not easy to just say, oh, they need to keep people, because that's also doesn't make dollars and cents to be able to keep indie projects moving forward. But of course, then the flip side, as a person who's also been a contractor for some years in my life, that world is the stressful world where you're trying to, make dollars and cents for your family, and at any moment's notice, you get cut because, hey, it's time for you to get cut. And where you're going to eat next, that's not their purview, right? It is a hard world to be in.
Let me say something to you.
Please. Yeah.
The same thing could happen to you, or it could happen
anybody
to me.
else. Anybody else. Yes.
You work in the industry you're working. I work in finance. At any day it could happen. You know what I'm not gonna get? A bunch of people looking out. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road. The point is, I think a lot of us have to get past, like, if we really want to talk about this, I just don't think it's we're not going to solve anything by saying we feel bad, and we do feel bad. But if that's where your analysis stops, and your analysis is, I feel for these people, so down with capitalism, or look, I told you so. I just, and there's two levels to this, right? Because there are people that are using this as an I told you so. There are people that are using this as an argument against capitalism. There are people that are using this to say mergers are bad.
Consolidation is the problem.
Do we think, absent a merger or any merger, that these layoffs would still happen? And I would argue that answer is yes.
I mean, I would say,
and anyone that will try to tell you that Bobby K would have had an issue letting go of a bunch of people after he forced them to come back to work,
that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I would say the exact scenario in which it's playing out now probably wouldn't be exactly now at this time, but it probably ultimately would have played out exactly the same way, because the dollars and cents would have demanded it as they demand it now, right? It's not somebody waking up in the morning and just putting their finger in the air and making a decision. It is what business needs in order to move forward. And in this scenario, currently, it's what Microsoft's business need to move forward. But in a hypothetical alternate universe where Microsoft did not buy them, they still would most likely have a fallout, because in that scenario, you would not have heard all the culture situations go down. They wouldn't be quelled easily. It was actually Microsoft announcing the purchase of ABK that kind of quelled the storm on that front. Had they not done that, the storm would have not been quelled, and we'd still probably be where we are now, and it probably would be worse, because there'd be firings for culture in addition to economic factors, right? So it's not as easy as all that. I do agree with you that it's people are being a bit too convenient in their analysis with where we are, as far as, it's AI, it's consolidation, right? So let's pick apart a bit more, and let's be a bit more focused when it comes to Microsoft's layoffs. Okay, so as we are talking about layoffs, they have laid off 1,900 Activision Blizzard staff, and in doing so, they also laid off. Well, I wouldn't say they laid off, but the news came out that Mike Ibarra also has decided to leave that, and that may also be a convenient threading of the needle, because he left at the same time. But it seems like that may be a different conversation as well. So, Avabon, what are your thoughts there? I know when we talked about this previously, you think that there's some scapegoating going on here, right?
There is, but again, I don't want to turn this into a defend Microsoft thing either. I think the way that they went about this, even if it was necessary for their business, I don't really care about what's necessary for their business.
True.
So and again, people's lives are affected. Sure. I just don't think it is helpful to kind of talk about these things on such basic terms. So let's talk, for me, I want to talk about why these things are happening and where we think they will go, and what do we think are possible solutions to this. And those solutions can't be keep people employed that are overlapping, that are redundant, and it can't. And so now Jesse P says something very interesting in the chat. Can you Can you highlight that?
He says, devs are coddled. I say that as someone with a disability. Wish strangers advocated as hard for me as they do for game devs. Sir, that is a super interesting conversation to bring up. I will let you spark that flame, Everborn. Go ahead.
So, and 100%, right? Like, I don't know what it is, because these people, as I said, if the finance, not if, right? A lot of headcounts are going down in finance, and that's the industry I work. I work on the technology side of finance. When those headcounts go down, I don't see all these things like, oh my God, whatever, right? It is. And I also noticed that a lot of the crying that I see about this, or the consternation, I should say, it really will only happen when it's the other side, right? So, for example, if you're like a Sony guy, now you really care about the devs that lost their jobs, right? Or if you're an Xbox guy, when you hear about these Sony layoffs, oh, Sony's terrible, look at them, right? Like, you see a lot of that, and my issue is that mostly people don't care. But to Jesse P's question, I think there should be more awareness of what it is and what people with disabilities have to go through just to get hired. But my question is, right? Because there was news that people that were like disabled got laid off, and that sucks, right? And there should be like special accommodations for that. But these are the kind of conversations that I want to have, and I'm not making a judgment here. This is more of a statement for the discourse. And Jesse, I hope you're still listening so you can respond to this in the chat or somehow. If we say that certain groups need, like, they can't be let go, they can't be laid off for whatever reason, does that then have an effect on the future hiring of those people? Like, dollars and cents, your HR, and there's a group of people that you can't hire. Do you think twice before that you can't fire? Do you think twice about hiring them in the future? And if that is true, then doesn't that make it even harder?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that question.
Can't be, so the solution is going to be far more nuanced than that. Yeah.
And this is what I mean. So, and again, now Wandering Dutch says something very interesting. This is all shitty, right? But life goes on. Tech isn't the largest sector. Hit sector. Yeah, right. A lot of sectors are hit. But one thing about tech, Wandering Dutch, like, people in tech make a lot of money, and there's a lot of demand for people with technical know-how. Like, a lot. And I'm not saying I want people to like leave the industry and go to other places that'll pay them or whatever, because I know they're doing what they love, and sometimes I think I want to switch to that path full time.
But you also know something else, Everborn. Tech, while tech is important, and we are in tech, they also have the best communication mediums. So that's the reason why you always hear their plight over everybody else's plight, because tech also means Twitter. Tech also means social media. Tech means Instagram. Tech means TikTok. Right? So the first thing you hear when a techie has a problem is they're out there in the ether spreading the message. You don't hear that in the plumbing industry. You don't hear that in other industries. So they tend to get short shrift, right? The techies have the voice, so they use it. Am I wrong there? What do you think?
No, 100%. It's just where it's just interesting to me where I see people pretend to be concerned. Now, Infinite Umbra sends a $10 super chat. So thank you for that. So you wanna read that?
Yeah, he says, my brothers, what solutions would you offer up to better facilitate balance as it pertains to capitalism that affects those who are laid off versus the higher ups who, was the higher up so that this is reduced in the future? Yes.
So
yes.
so here's the thing.
Good
One
question, sir.
thing
Thank
that
you.
that gets left as just specifically to this Microsoft thing. A lot of executives got let go too.
Oh yes,
Right?
indeed. Yes.
This kind of hit the hell out of like this hit across the board. Like
Yes.
the co-founder of Blizzard, people say he was the founder.
Yes.
Also, the door. Like Lulu, big executive. A couple weeks ago when they announced the reorg, the door. The president of Blizzard, again, the door. Entire teams, including the team leads, the door. So this is not necessarily a situation. Again, we are concerned more for the workers that are the everyday working guys, because those other executives, they're fine. They don't need to work. They're going to, and I quote, go travel the world for a while. So it,
they're going BI, as they say.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Now, so this is the thing. In terms of this not happening again, I think, and part of this is us too, right? We as fans of this stuff, consumers of this stuff, we are spending more of our money, or have been spending more of our money, on the big $300 million projects, the big service games that cost a lot of people to. We should focus more on those smaller projects where the creativity is really happening, and again, you can only vote with your dollar, right?
That's right.
There's nothing like you coming to X or YouTube to complain about this is not going to stop anybody from getting laid off in the future. I hate to say it, but it's not. Right? So what you can do, you can start to think about the kind of projects that you support.
Yep.
Right? And if things like Hi-Fi Rush, if things like Prince of Persia, if things like The Cub, if things like Cookie Cutter, if those are the kind of games that begin to become successful, guess what?
They'll make
more of those will be made. And those games are less risky. They are more creative. Yep. There's a shorter time to develop. Window,
and these bigger AAA monster makers can turn around and make more of them because they can dole their budgets out accordingly to multiple projects. So you get more games faster.
Now, and again, I see in the chat, Fred Gurry. I'm butchering your name, but Fred. I'm gonna call you Freddie G. So Freddie G says this is why we need strong safety net to take care of regular people.
Yep.
Executives are millionaires, man.
That's right.
Yeah, I think he was responding to something I was saying earlier. This is not about them. I am just saying they were let go as well. And I think he heard me when I said we don't really care about them. I'm just saying this didn't only affect them. Now, the thing is, to answer the safety net question, just to answer the safety net question, and again, this is where unions come in. Let's have a big boy conversation.
Oh, put on the big boy pants. Let's go. All right.
Now, if unions do become widespread, and again, we love that these QA workers got protections, because guess what? CWA came out and pointed out that no one that signed on to that union was affected by this layoff.
Yes.
However, unions do not prevent you from being laid off. It's just the terms in which you get laid off under, and there's a certain process to follow, right?
They make it a little bit more difficult. It's not as easy peasy to just kind of cut somebody,
right? And part of a union. Collective bargaining rights are good for workers. I think the reason you don't see the non-QA knowledge workers in these situations, you don't see them unionize because they are highly in demand, right? You don't want to pay this salary. You want to treat me this way. Guess what? Right. Yeah. Somebody else will, and they'll pay me more, and they'll let me work from home, right? And so the what will happen, and we just have to contend with this, right? If unions come into place and it limits how fast the company can move, and I have nothing against the union. My son's trying to get into a union right now, and he was in the CWA, and I'm trying to get it. He's trying to get into a better union now. I'm not saying anything against unions, but if unions are introduced into the gaming industry and they effectively drive up costs, right? And maybe this is a worthwhile thing, right? But if the union says there's no overtime, and the union says you can't fire anybody, and the union says you have to pay this amount, and the pay increases are this and that, and these are the things you have to do, and these are the pensions that you have to have. Does that drive up the already exorbitant cost of game development even more? And what fate would that have on the industry? And how much longer would that take for games to come out?
So look,
right?
I hear you
and
on that.
If that in turn raised prices, this is the last thing I will say.
Yeah,
it's not the last thing, but then I'll let you respond. What if that means you now have to pay $100
for a game?
For a game.
Well, but hold on.
Maybe you're okay with that.
My only pushback in that is we've already solved the problem, right? And the solution to the problem isn't adding additional cost of development that gets incurred because of in this scenario you're describing, because of unions. Already there have been other costs that have been amortized to the consumer, right? Which then balloons budgets, which then ends up with publishers not getting their return on investment, right? Whether it be unions adding additional costs to the mix, or ballooning budgets from ambition or whatever. Solution is smaller scope, smaller budget in games. That keeps everything from going off the rails, right? That is ultimately the solution here. That has always been the solution here. If you do everything else but keep ambitions high, and as such that brings ballooning budgets, yeah, obviously there you go. Now we have $80 games. Now we have $100 games, because the Neil Druckmanns of the world, their ambitions aren't being quelled back. I'm sorry, right? It is what it is. And I'm not blaming Neil here. I'm just saying that in the world where you have auteurs and you have people with ideas that require multi-millions of dollars in order to execute them, maybe Nintendo's model of forcing ingenuity while keeping budgets tight is probably the way forward here, because all those other negatives that you're describing here get quelled as a part of that, right? Do you disagree with me?
No, I mean, that's what I think the answer is. I think smaller games with smaller budgets, and if that becomes the operating, mode, then you can have more people afford to go out and strike it out on their own and become their own.
But let's be 100% clear here. When we say that, we don't mean, oh yeah, just hodgepodge together. Well, this is what the budget could make, so there you go. And now all games are lacking in quality. No, because that's what tends to happen, right? They tend to use faulty data to create a self-fulfilling narrative. No, right? You're looking right now at many examples of amazing games that for sure did not require that monster budget. Games that I will confidently say that, we all are gamers on this show, both in the chat and on the panel.
Ooh, Dr. Dry Rub says console gamers are the problems. The pay pigs, if you will.
Oh, sir. I feel you, sir. I will not go that far because my troglodyte brothers might come for my neck, but I hear you. There you go. All I'm saying, though, is because AAA games have been a prevailing thing for so long, people think that that's the best that gaming can be. We're here to tell you that there are other opportunities and other offerings for gaming that you wouldn't know you would love as much as you do.
We need a pay pig emoji, by the way, if we don't have one. Like a pig with a bunch of money in his hand.
We definitely need a pay pig emoji, yes. We're photoshopping a lot of our emojis in in the Discord, and as our memberships grow, they will allow us to add more emojis, and we definitely will have more emojis. We have Homeless Sonic being shopped in the Discord, which will make it here.
I'm not allowing that one.
But yes,
whoever uses the Homeless Sonic emoji is getting banned.
Come to the Discord and come check out the Homeless Sonic emoji. That was beautiful.
You want to get banned? That's fine. I got the ban hammer.
I can unban you. Don't worry. But anyway, let me address Mr. Infinite Numbers' question as well, because this is another side turn that it took this story, which was super interesting. He asks on the screen here, to add to that, why do we think that Mike Ibarra was really, quote unquote, what left / was fired? And on that note, I will also say, because of that, there's been conversations that Peaches, and ladies and gentlemen, those in the chat who have the ability to put the Peaches emojis in the chat, sir, put the Peaches emojis. I found a man who fits that Peaches emoji really, really well. I'll put that in here right now. If you don't see that, here's my multiple Peaches emojis. Let's put the Peaches in the chat. There you go. I found one that really, really speaks to that super well. It seemed that Peaches was caught in a lie, possibly, because he came out and said, "Oh, by the way, Mike Ibarra chose to leave the company."
I mean, to be fair, Mike Ibarra said the same thing in his tweet. You can pull up his tweet saying, that he decided to leave.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So, but the question that the Umbra rightly points out, asks us is, did he leave on his own accord, or was this one of those dumb money questions? And for those who've watched Dumb Money, everyone, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, we should tell the people about that. So Dumb Money is the movie about, if you guys remember, back in 2021, there was the GameStop. stock,
the stonks revolution.
So that whole situation with Robin Hood and the GameStop stock being thrown through, that is actually on Netflix now, and it's a star-studded cast.
Damn good movie.
Really, really good. Yeah. After you're done with this show, go watch that. You will not be disappointed. Yep. Now, but when you say a Dumb Money choice, it's like, so there's a scene in there where one of the guys, he works for one of the banks, and they found out he was involved in this stuff, so he got a call, and then when he got off the phone, his wife is asking him what happened, and he says, they gave me a choice. I could either resign or they fire me. And so is that the kind of choice that Mike Ibarra had?
It seems that way.
Well, maybe it seems that way, but you can't listen to any of these people at face value. So, for example, Phil just went to Bethesda and smiled in everybody's face and said, "What do you guys want to work on? I care about what you're passionate about." That's what he said 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
2 weeks later, the banhammer comes down. So just because Mike Ibarra said, "You're gonna have to drag me out of here," doesn't necessarily mean he wasn't waiting for the 3 months for his stock to vest, and then he gets a couple million, and then he gets out of Dodge. Also, we also have to remember that Mike Ibarra did work at Microsoft for 20 years. He was probably up for Phil Spencer's position in 2014, and he got passed over. He then left. He went to Blizzard, and he did not leave on the best of terms. And so now, all these years later, is he really going to be in a position to work under Phil, who used to work under him?
Yeah, that's the question.
So I'm not necessarily buying the idea one way or the other that he was pushed out. Could he have been pushed out? Yeah. Jim Ryan could have been fired too. Everybody takes what he said as face value, but now we're going to question Mike Ibarra.
I don't take his as face value. I know many people do. I don't.
Yeah.
When they say he retired, I say they retired him. That's what I've always been saying. But
yeah,
continue.
But all I'm saying is the people that are telling you Mike Ibarra and Peaches are lying about whether he got let go or he decided to leave are the same people that tell you the press release that they got from Sony is exactly what's the truth.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for that, I say put the Kofi emojis in the chat. Everborn Saga is spurring Koofy talk. So we're putting the Koofies in the
just
chat real
saying.
quick. I'm just saying. Whenever he starts, I'm just saying, the Koofies about to come out. Let's go.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna have that level of scrutiny, I'm all for it. Just have that scrutiny also when it's your favorite company.
Wow. And a question is being asked that I'm not aware of in this chat, and it surprises. Yeah, Abacab72 asking a pertinent question. Who is Peaches? Well, if you haven't been around here, Peaches is the name of the one Matt Booty, whose name shall not be disrespected, because what else are you gonna call Booty? I'm sorry, it is what it is. We're gonna move quickly forward. But yes, we are calling Matt Booty Peaches. That is who is Peaches. That is who we call. But yes, we are man babies here. Forgive us. Everborn Saga, Mr. Joanna Dark gives us a $5 super chat and says, Everborn, I will make more accounts to continue using homeless Sonic emojis. We need a no-knees Sonic emoji to remind him how Mario took them. Oh boy.
I got my knees back from Kei Asante getting that Steam Deck OLED, sir.
Hey man, so I have not gotten a Steam Deck OLED. I'm just
tall and walking hard.
Walking hard. Pause. Walking hard. Anyway, speaking of that, a quick aside. This is the New Year's resolution, people. Every time we podcast, your man Kei Asante is gonna be standing. This is the standing movement right now. So if you see me and if you see our shows are far more concise, it's because the boys' legs got a little tired. It's time for us to wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you're seeing us always standing now. Yeah, and I do see that. We need a pause button, a pause emoji, a good, interesting pause emoji.
Hey, Rodimus, I don't shoot strays. I'm a sniper, sir.
Oh man. Okay. No. This is a PG-13, sir. PG-13. We need to be cool with all of that. Jesus Christ. Okay. Anyway, so back to the news at hand, sir. So you think? Do you want to talk a bit about the Mikey Barra background conversation that we think led to all of this?
So one thing I do want to say about it, I like a lot of people have their theories about it, and he has always, after he left Microsoft, he sometimes did not have the best things to say, and it was only when it was clear the Activision the acquisition was going to go through where
all of a sudden he started doing his Mia Culpa tour. Yes.
Talking his Wii stuff, and I'm thinking of Uncle Phil.
We who?
We. But so a lot of people actually expected this, and but if he wanted to stay, is Blizzard in the best place right now? Maybe it is. One question I do have, no. Phil is definitely like the North. Phil never forgets, right?
That's right.
If it's a game that missed the platform, he's going out there to get it. He's returning slights. But one thing that I take away from a lot of these layoffs is silver lining here. Is Microsoft doing the thing that a lot of people wanted them to do? Right?
Yeah.
And
wow.
What I mean is
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Joanna Dark is doing some ill stuff in the chat. I'm sorry. Continue. Oh boy. All right. Continue. Okay. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Oh man.
Damn. This dude is wild right now.
Jesus Christ.
So wild. Anyway,
I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole.
I'm gonna let that one ride. For those who can see it, we're just gonna keep it moving because man, it's not worth repeating.
All right. So, a lot of people are talking about this survival game, and everybody's like, "How could you do this? How could you do that?"
Yeah.
The same people just sat here and was like, "How did you let Redfall come out? You should have left that one in the drafts." And now they see a game, they cancel it, and you're like, "Oh my God, why'd you cancel it?" And so just a little bit about the survival game. Um, as I understand it, as it was reported, the game started off in UE4.
Yeah.
And it was a big kind of service game. They wanted to have 100 players at once. But UE4 allegedly did not suit the team's needs. So they made the decision.
Don't say that too
not
loudly
to
now.
switch.
Don't say that too
They
loudly.
made the decision.
Umbra's in the
No,
chat.
I didn't say UE5.
Oh,
Well, not
okay,
yet.
okay.
I said UE4.
Not yet.
So they made the decision to switch to their own in-house engine, but not the Overwatch engine, right? Not the Diablo or the Warcraft engine. They switched to their mobile engine.
Yep.
Right? And
which is very strange.
Turns out, and this thing was in development for 6 years, and they were prototyping for that game in UE4, knowing that their engine didn't really have those features yet, and those things would have to be built in it. And as I understand it, after 6 years, they were saying we need another 2 years, so we're targeting 2026. But that apparently was optimistic. So you realistically probably wouldn't have gotten the game till 2027, 2028. And the way a lot of these service games launch, you got 1 to 2 years before it's worth anything to play. So you're talking about a game that would not have been worth anything till about 2030.
Yep. Absolutely.
And this is a game that had already been in development in 6 years. And as I understand it, after switching from UE4 to their in-house engine that was used for mobile games, they wanted to now switch to UE5.
Yep. Yep.
Never mind the fact that if you stayed in UE4, the upgrade to UE5 would have been a lot easier than going to your engine and then having to backport everything to. So the point is, in any other scenario, we would have said the game was in development hell.
Yes. Yes.
Right? So if we want them to have a level of quality control, and this is what everybody said, Matt Booty needs to watch these things. They need to make sure that they're not letting another Redfall happen. And if they make a decision that, we don't know what the counterfactual is. We don't know what the game would have came out and been. But if it's a game that probably is going to take until 2027 or 2028 to come out, they have to say, is there a better use of this team's time? And guess what? They said that they will be working on other unannounced projects.
Yeah.
So perhaps you lose this survival game, and maybe you gain that StarCraft 2 you always wanted, or 3, whatever it's going to be up to.
Joanna Dark in the chat is saying games get canceled all the time, B. This is not the time to start, going back and getting all messy about it. Projects get canceled all the time. Now here's my question. Here's my follow-up to this, right? And this is just a kind of a side perch. This is what spurred my creative juices flowing. As soon as I heard this news, I'm like, they're over here, and this is the same brain trust that now manages all of them of Microsoft's game studios, right? All of their projects, they have creative control over them, right? Or budgetary control, I should say, right? My question is, if they've canceled this project, but other projects still alive, projects like your Everwild, what does that mean for Everwild? A project that we've heard has been in quote unquote limbo for some time. If you hear this game was canceled, but that game is still, you haven't heard hide nor hair from it being canceled, right? You would assume that'd be the first one they'd cancel because that's closer to the vest. Well, maybe that is no longer the last bit of news you heard about it.
I wouldn't put that out there yet. I would wait till we get to June Showcase.
But this is my question.
Listen, right? and I am basing this off of nothing. But I think we will see Everwild and Perfect Dark and State of Decay 2 at this year's showcase. I think we will get updates on those games. I could be wrong,
yes.
but yes. That's what I think are going to happen. So, but yeah, if you're going to be in, development hell, as it were. Now, what I want to ask is, they say they moved away from UE4 for technical reasons, but
Mm-hmm.
just knowing the kind of company Activision is,
Mm-hmm.
this is Blizzard, but it's still into Activision. Is it possible that they just didn't want to pay the UE license fees? Is
You
that a
know what it
reason why they
is.
moved away?
You know what it is, sir.
And they
And look,
figured now that Phil is there, Phil would be like, all right, you could move back to UE5. And maybe we could have if you would have stayed in UE4, and then we could have stomached another year of development for the upgrade path. But not when you tell them you got to basically start from scratch.
yeah. So there you go. There's a lot of logistical, like, background that could potentially lead to all of this, right? And as you're saying, like, while slashing jobs, they also slash this, as well as downscaling their physical media development arm as well, right? It seems to me that they take these opportunities to kind of do some things that they've been wanting to correct in the background for a while.
So wait a minute. So JB1521 says, what's development hell and what's this game just needs time is the real question.
Yeah.
So
what's the difference
again,
between development hell and it needs real time? Yes.
So when we say development hell, because this is a term that is, and maybe that's mean to say to the people that were working on it, but if you switch engines and then you want to switch back engines and you are prototyping things that your engine does not have the ability to do yet, and you're going to have to now build these features in another thing. Like if you're prototyping in one engine to go and work in your own engine who doesn't have these things, and you're working on it for 6 years and you still think you need another 2 years, but that's optimistic, that's development hell.
So, okay. To me, development hell is whatever your publisher can stand. And the moment that your publisher no longer stands it, now you're in development hell. There are publishers like Valve, for example, who will incubate a game for years and go crumple up paper and do that multiple times without breaking a sweat. That's not development hell to them. That's experimenting, right? But if you're like CDPR and you're at a critical level and, hey, we need a return on our investment. No, this thing's not quite done. Screw you. It's coming out because we need ROI. There's your development hell. I think it matters. The wallet determines where development hell, the line of development hell and experimenting lives, right? And if you start the ball rolling, letting your publisher know one thing and then it teeters to a place where they're no longer comfortable, now you're in development hell and you risk not even coming out at some point, right? But if you happen to have a developer or publisher, I should say, who's got the dough, it's not even about whether they got the dough or they don't. It's about whether they see value in allowing you to continue to incubate. That's where it teeters on one side or not, the other. And that's why I would say Everwild specifically could possibly not be considered development hell, because they are still allowing that incubation, right? And I think, who was I talking to that said this? I think that I think it was Boomstick that may have been the one who said it, but forgive me if it's not. I want to give the proper credit, but it seems to me that because games like Sea of Thieves have become the hit that they are now, and in the beginning they were not given the credit, right? They were given short shrift. They were being dashed. People were looking at them like, oh, they're not all that. And now you realize how great they are from a games as a service perspective. They're literally setting benchmarks, right? Because of that, they may now have some of that political capital that I've been talking about, and because of that, it's allowing the powers that be at Microsoft to go, look, just let them incubate for some time. They may still be unclear of what the game looks like right now, but we're going to give them some time because Sea of Thieves was murky for a while, and now look at where they are, right? It may be more of that, I suspect. Well, what are your thoughts in that realm, Everborn?
Again, the longer a game takes to release, the higher the production cost goes. So if you, and again, we're talking about a situation that realistically, right? If they've been working on it for 6 years, they need 2 more years. That's an 8-year dev cycle. And then it probably would have gone at least another. It probably would have been delayed
Mm-hmm.
another 1 to 2 years. So you're talking about a 10-year development price. If this thing is not going to do Starfield numbers,
Yep.
if it's not going to do Overwatch numbers, and maybe it would, but if they don't see it doing those numbers, then this is what's going to happen, right?
Yep.
And again, the overarching point that I wanted to make was that so I think somebody in the chat says 60 months is 6 years. I think 60 months is 5 years. 72 months is 6 years.
The Gaming Circle Math Podcast. Welcome. Continue, sir.
But anyway, that just threw me off. Sorry. But anyway,
well, actually,
my overall point was: is it possible they are doing what was asked of them?
Yeah.
Meaning, we asked them to streamline things. We asked them to have clear communications.
Yep.
We asked them to have a tighter grasp on what is coming through the pipeline that is going to be representing the brand. And what did they do? They're streamlining their communications and their customer service. They're streamlining. Everything has to roll through Matt Booty, right? Tighter eyeballs on projects, quality control.
It looks like all of their social media managers have also been let go in favor of streamlining the message. You know,
right?
That's also
so these are the things that a lot of people were saying Microsoft sucks at these things, and now they're trying to have less cooks in the kitchen, so to speak.
Yep.
So again, we don't want anybody to lose their jobs. But a lot of people also ask for this, and I feel like in the long run, if this is what is needed for that business, I don't know. And again, I don't really care about a $3 trillion company being better off. I am just saying, is this what you asked for?
Yeah. Mrs. Joanna Dark, $5.
You thought they were going to do all of that by keeping a bunch of people who have the same job but opposing viewpoints. We say get everybody in line.
Maybe this is how they do that.
And again, it's the same thing, right? JB 1521. But Everboard, Microsoft is worth $3 trillion. They should be able to keep everybody. They're not a jobs program.
That's right. They're not a non-for-profit. You know,
how do you
come
think
here
they
and work
became
program.
a $3 trillion company? But again, I am saying this with all due empathy for the people there. Now, Dorian Gray says something very interesting. He says he thinks Palworld killed this game. Now, I made a joke this is why you should come to the Discord, by the way. Picture being that team in Blizzard who is like, yeah, we're working on this game for 6 years. We're gonna need another 4 years to put it out, and another $100 million. And we're projecting it to do, 1 million sales in the first week, and then Palworld comes out, like 4 developers,
$8
spent
million
$7 million on the game, and did
people are
$8
loving
million
it.
in 8
That's
days.
That's right. Hold on. Let me catch up on some of these super chats because they're getting scandalous a little bit. Let's get up to date. Joanna Dark, $5 super chat. He says, remember those rumors that Halo Infinite did something similar in switching engines and that caused a headache and the issues that it had? Yes, absolutely. See, and on that front, I would then blame more of this to managers, right? Because it's a management decision to switch engines and not to streamline your process and get to the promised land with the chosen engine that you started with, right? And Splendiferous, the great Splendiferous with a $2 super chat, saying the same thing, agreeing with me. Switching engines calls for the lead to be slapped, right? Whatever decision you made, You need to stick with it. Otherwise, you need to justify why you're switching to a different engine. And more often than not, that's going to lead to delays and all of that, right? It's going to lead to people getting upset.
But
And
it's
as
not
such, it's
even just
justified.
switching engines. They switched engines and then they wanted to switch back.
Switch back.
So all of that work you did is like, yeah, let's
exactly,
go back.
right? And of course, Splendiferous with another $2 super chat. We appreciate you, good sir. He says, man, Booty dropped it like it was hot. This ain't it. Pause, sir. Man. Pause. But yes. But no, I feel like there's a lot of sauce in the mix there, and a lot of people are just kind of putting it together and go, "Oh, consolidation bad. Oh, pick your issue du jour of the day and blaming it." There's more to it than that, right? Specifically with ABK and all of this. Isn't that why Microsoft was able to buy these guys, right? This isn't, and I've said this before, this isn't ZeniMax. This isn't, oh, these are our buddies who need some cash to be able to reach the best form of themselves. Hey, we're just going to provide them cash and step back and watch them succeed. That's not what this is, right? That's what the story was for ZeniMax. That's not what this is. This was, oh, one of our great old publishers is on fire. They may not last longer from a monetary and a culture perspective if we don't, invest and do something about it. And that's why they were able to purchase them. And in doing so, it justifies headhunting. It justifies cutting of a lot of costs because the culture is bad. A lot of people got to go, This was why they were there to save them from themselves. That's what Microsoft jumped into the fray to do. So them letting a bunch of people go in that realm is not surprising to me. It was expected, right? It was expected, and obviously not every single person that was let go was because of the consolidation. Because in certain instances, you'll notice that they let go their side of the arm in favor of the ABK side, and then in other instances, the vice versa would happen, right? This is a consolidation effort, but that is not the cause of the mass layoffs that are happening here. I think they're just using this as an advantageous moment to do some correcting of the ship as well. What do you think, Everborn? Am I off base? Are there koofies being thrown at me in that as well? I don't think it's as big a news or as crazy as the game industry is turning topsy-turvy. I just think Microsoft used this as an advantageous moment to correct some things.
I think it can be all those things, though, right? I think it can be the we're going through an industry shift. I think there is a correction in terms of headcount. I think again, they are Activision before this had 12,000 employees or something like that before the cuts.
Yeah.
Do we know that when Microsoft initially agreed to acquire them, their head count was 9,800. And then there were rumors that the 2023 COD was going to be canceled. For that, not canceled, but they were going to go to a biannual release schedule. You remember that reporting that Jason Schreier did?
I do recall.
And so after the deal was had some doubt because the CMA wanted to go to a phase 2 and the FTC tried to sue. This was late 2020, at the end of 2022 ish, right? Their head count skyrocketed, right? And I hear they went up to 17,000 employees, but not all of those were full-time people. So after the game shipped, I think it went down to something like 13,000. But still, when Microsoft agreed to acquire ABK and the numbers they did to make it work, it was at the head count that ABK had, right? Which was 9,800. And they're still above 9,800 at ABK right now.
Yeah. A lot of people,
right?
Unusual amounts.
And so the thing is, Activision had to hire people if they were going to get a COD out because the stock would have gone horribly if the deal fell through and then they had no COD coming that year, right? Those two things would have basically killed the company. So they had to deal with that. And then and we got a $2 super chat there. There are a lot of people in there that had a lot of HR issues, right? So but we don't know if those are the people that got let go. I haven't seen anyone confirm that. So I don't want to give them credit that may or may not be due. That they got rid of those people.
And salute to the man, Sith Lord. Appreciate you for being here. $2 super chat saying clear out people involved in the sexual harassment. I think they did do some head hunting on that front early on in the process. But yeah, I have always thought that in addition to clearing out some redundant positions, that will also be their opportunity to get rid of the people who've been involved in the dubious behavior, right?
Right. And so the needle that I'm trying to thread here is that the ABK headcount had increased significantly post merger agreement.
Yep.
And so if you're just thinking about this from a sort of cold hard analytical perspective, we agreed to purchase this company with this headcount. You hired several thousand people more in that time because you wanted to push a game out that was like the lowest rated game in the franchise because you needed to push it out for whatever reasons. And now we have all these people and we have these redundant roles and we have these things that we don't really need. And you potentially did that because you didn't care, right? You had to, you either figured it wouldn't be your problem anymore, right? If the deal goes through, and if it doesn't go through, you have to have a COD out for the holiday.
No, you gotta have a plan B.
Right.
That's right.
And so now that falls on Microsoft's lap.
Yup.
Now, could they have kept more people employed? I don't know. I'm not in that decision making chair, right? But what I don't think is productive to say, right? Maybe it's helpful, but it's not productive to say, well, they're $3 trillion, so they should have just kept people employed, even though they're doing the same thing. Like that doesn't make sense. And if you were in that position, you would not do it.
Just because they have more money than God does not mean that they all of a sudden turn into a non-profit organization.
I do not care about how much. I'm not saying poor $1 trillion company.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. I am saying if we actually want to understand how this happened instead of just waving our fist at the sky, then we have to talk about why it happened. Because we'll never get to solutions to these things unless we're really going to talk about it. If you're preaching to a choir of people who already agree with you that this is bad because this is bad unless you're a sociopath.
Layoffs
like
are
that.
bad.
That's not really. We're not getting anywhere. Like yes, our thoughts and prayers. Okay, right. That's what we're basically doing. So
this is the circle. The really thoughts and prayers circle jerk. I get it. No, for sure. I get it.
That's it. If we're gonna talk about it, then let's talk about it. Let's not do the how dare you, right? Like everybody's Greta Thunberg. Okay. So all right, before we get out of here, because we're about 2 hours and 30 minutes, but before we get out of here, I want to leave on a positive note and talk about some positive gaming news. But before I do that, Splendiferous super chat.
Yes, before I do that, Splendiferous left a super chat, of course, and he agrees. Splendiferous $5 super chat, thank you. All caps, of course. He agrees with Sith Lord. We can't have people just walking around smacking peaches while he's trying to work. That tends to be a big distraction.
Oh man.
Oh, clear minds. Salute to y'all, man. The innuendos is magnificent, man. It's magnificent. I love it. It's so good. Thank you so much for being here and for your super chat and for all the conversation. It's really awesome in the community. I would say, I'm supposed to say, we have what, 106 likes, 175 people in here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. Consider subscribing if you are new to the channel. Consider being a member if you want to be able to use some of them peaches emojis, among other things. We out here, we doing some interesting things in that realm. I'm gonna close the QA, and I put a QA out there and asking people what they're playing. I see Max City is playing Hogwarts. Salute to you, sir. Black Ronin asked, he's playing Tekken 8. He's asking if we're playing it, who our mains are. I have Tekken 8 on the backlog for now because I'm so knee deep in a few other games that I cannot get away from. But I did hear that Tekken 8 is like get 9s everywhere, so it's definitely going to be played by me soon enough.
Two games that I own but have not downloaded yet.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh wow! I'm already further along in the Mortal Kombat 1 realm. I'm still playing that.
And so Tekken 8 is just another. One day I'm just gonna go like all in on fighting games and play all
and
three
just play them all. That's right. So we and of course Abacab is in there. He says he's playing Alan Wake 2, a great game that not a lot of people played, oddly enough. Like really interesting game. More people should play it.
I couldn't the whole Mind Palace thing.
Yeah,
I still can't
could mess with it. That's
this
right.
whole mini game with connecting the dots. I'm not even really looking at anything at that point. I'm like, does this picture work here? Okay, boom. If it doesn't, let's move on. Like it's like
it stops the flow of the game and it turns into like a card turnover.
Yeah, it kills the pacing. It should be an optional mini game. It should not be something that you need to
critical to the story progression. I get you. Live Supremacy, great member of the community, says he's playing Stumble Guys, the party knockout game. It's a fun game. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Stumble Guys, Fall Guys obviously did what it did. No, Stumble Guys. It's a Fall Guys kind of derivative of Fall Guys. Yes.
Oh, why is nobody mad at that? But everybody's mad at the PAL. Whatever. We know why.
Then there's Headbangers. Is it Headbangers? Like,
I want to say
it's a penguin game. Go ahead.
I want to say something.
Get on your soapbox, sir. Get on it.
Why is only PlayStation and Nintendo guys that's mad at Palworld?
I mean,
I haven't seen one Steam or PC dude mad at Palworld. You know why? Because they're all playing it as we speak.
That's true.
There's no Xbox. So the only people that are mad that Palworld did something wrong are the people who is not on their platform. Do better. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Mr. Infinite Umbra in the chat says he just finished Prince of Persia and now he's on Palworld. He's also playing a retro game called what? Called Agralos, and it's on sale for $3. Interesting.
Well, you're playing Palworld. Rip your free time.
I
feel sorry. I feel sorry for your watch.
Let's get to the last game, the last story of the day. And I wanted to chat about this. Last story of the day being Switch 2 rumors. Coming soon, supposedly. Real soon. And the latest and greatest news about it is it's not going to have an OLED screen, presumably. It may come with an 8-inch LCD screen.
8 inches of Nintendo. How about that? Hi-yo.
Man, big pause. What do you think, Everborn Saga? Are you day one on the Switch non-OLED, Switch 2 non-OLED? Or are they going to have to kind of,
Day zero. If it comes out in Japan first, I'm importing it.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
That's right.
If you give me a Nintendo handheld that has the performance of at least the Steam Deck.
Oh, yeah. It'll be at least the Steam Deck. Of course it will be. Yeah.
So this is a Nintendo handheld that can play all of the AAAs. Obviously, it won't be like great, but I guarantee
fantastic. But it won't be liquid metal screens either.
People will put more work into the ports than they do into the PC scaling specs.
True.
So you may get even if it's the same specs like hardware wise as the Steam Deck, you probably will get better performance on that because people will profile for it harder.
For specifically, yes.
And that in and of itself, that may be the thing that gets me away from the Steam Deck. And I like, again, because all the third party, nobody's gonna skip it, right? And I actually wonder what that is gonna do competition wise to Sony.
Yeah. Hargeet has been saying this for a while. Microsoft has a plan. Nintendo has a plan. What's all that going to do to Sony? Hargeet specifically, I heard him say that not too long ago, that Nintendo getting more competitive could have an outwise effect on Sony's bottom line. But continue.
And by the way, anybody saying, "Oh, it's not OLED," whatever, you're gonna buy this and then you're gonna buy the OLED version in 2 years. Shut up.
So about the it's not OLED, right? Real quick, I will say, we are here giving smoke where smoke is deserved. We also have to give credit where credit's deserved, right? While they have opened the door to OLED, and if they don't do OLED again, it's a little disappointing. Shout out to the freaking ROG Ally with a non-OLED screen. That's pretty damn good. If you get a non-OLED LCD screen quality-wise of the ROG Ally, I don't see anyone complaining. Do you disagree, Everborn Saga?
I do disagree, but not with what you said.
Okay.
I disagree that Nintendo will have a LCD screen that is the quality of the OLED, because they're going to try to save money.
They're trying to save a buck. Well, but saving the buck is not going OLED, right? So then just keep the quality level of your LCD high. Just don't go OLED, because OLED adds a substantial cost.
Right, I understand that. We're talking about Nintendo here, so you're not going to get a high quality. Listen,
they sell you cardboard.
That is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah.
If and only if the specs, hardware-wise, on paper, at least match the Steam Deck. If it's not as powerful as the Steam Deck, I don't think it'll work.
I will stand on my square and say it'll be as powerful, if not more powerful, than the Steam Deck. I mean, it won't blow it away. We're not talking crazy town here, but it will set a new standard. It will set a new standard in that low end, right? Oh, and Hollywood Rules, $2 super chat. Thank you, good sir. He says, just showing love, enjoying the show. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you for being here and for the support. Thank you so much. But yes, Everborn Saga, what do you foresee? Because I wanna blow.
And also shout out to Hollywood Rules. We were on the live call in for King's show last night, Xbox Frontline.
Yeah.
So shout out to that gentleman.
Absolutely. Show King David putting on an amazing show on a Friday. Always appreciate those shows.
And I don't think anybody. Well, no, some people do it, but like for the most part, people do not do it. King has live call-ins.
Yeah.
Which is something we are gonna do if you're a member of the top tier to charge them more tier.
Yeah.
We're gonna
have people come in. We're gonna have people come in
on the show with us. So if you have not subscribed, consider it. Not mandatory.
Sony Nakamura asking a very poignant question. Why isn't Kei Asante sitting down? Get a chair, man. No, man. This is my 2024 resolution. If I am podcasting, I am standing. Which means the show's almost close to ending because I've been standing for almost 3 hours. You understand what's going on. But yes, before we get out of here.
I've been sitting this whole time.
Of course you have been. You're the one.
Feet up.
Because he got no knees, you know what I'm saying? He got no knees. He got to keep his feet rotating. Anyway.
Now Aaron says something in the chat. LCD and probably no back compat. That is where Nintendo would get all the smoke. If it's no back compat, I don't know if I'm going. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it.
So you two are on that square of forever physical on your Nintendo Switch.
Absolutely, you have to honor that back catalog. It would be wild. Now, if what I do expect them to say is no physical back compat, but if you had the games digital, then those can go forward.
See, but that's a problem because a lot of people in their world, there is more physical than there is digital. If you do that, the pitchforks would be massive.
And but here's the thing. My entire Switch library is digital, except for Breath of the Wild.
They don't care about you. It's not you that is their main focus. It's all the people with the physicals. If you check the ratio,
you think they care about them? You think they don't want to sell them those games over again?
True, absolutely. They care more about you because there's a lot less of you, so it won't cost them that much money. That's true.
This is what I'm saying. Major, I hate saying it's an L, like that would be a blunder if it's not backwards compatible, and they would not get my money.
Yeah, I have heard a lot of Nintendo diehards. Abacus Nation is like, look, man, you give me no BC, I have a problem. So we shall see what they do there.
And
we shall
also,
see.
also, they better call it the Super Nintendo Switch.
Oh, come on.
It's right there.
The Nintendo Super Switch?
No, Super Nintendo Switch.
The Super Nintendo. That means it must continue to switch, right?
Yeah,
because remember, they have non-switching switches too.
Yeah, sure. Just give it a dock.
See, and now here we go. The thought experiment is going even further, right? Spartan 661 asking a pertinent question: will there be cartridges in this BC situation? Right? Because you can't leave cartridges behind if you're going BC.
But that's what I said. Maybe no back compat for physical. That's what I was talking about.
But the vast majority of Switch players are physical players.
And I don't care because I have been on the right side of the future and been all digital for the last generation.
And we all know that this is not Microsoft, who would then devise some kind of physical to digital trade-in program. Nope, they go. You're done.
He's not buying it if it's not back compat. Stop lying. You will be right there day
the
one.
Master of
the
king of Abacus Nation is putting down the gauntlet, saying he is not partaking if it does not include Abacus capabilities. Look at this. Crazy.
You know what? BT Maverick has a point. We have one more topic after this. This is not the last topic.
Okay.
We must talk about the Apple situation. And you completely forgot.
I totally forgot. All right. Let's quickly jump to that conversation right now, which is that Apple is being forced. Yeah, because my knees are starting to hurt. You see what I'm saying?
You don't have knees because you got that Steam Deck OLED. So I don't know what you standing on. You're on a stool.
Okay, so why don't you start this thing off? Apple is being forced to open their App Store, right?
Yes. Well, there's a lot happening. So as a result of the DMA, that's the Digital Markets Act in the EU, and there's also a Digital Markets Act. I don't know if they call it that in the UK. So these are two things that are happening, right? One, if you know, historically, Apple has not allowed game streaming services onto their platform because they have their own subscription service, which is wild. But so they historically have not allowed that, and now as a result of the UK dealing with them from a regulatory perspective, they are now going to allow these things in their store. What they wanted to do before was say every game in your service needs to be treated separately, and we need to collect our 30% of any purchases that are made in there. But that's not how these game streaming services work. So by the way, how the hell does Apple get away with this? Right. Anyway, we'll come to that.
Right. Look at the Business Insider headline here. I love that headline. It's like, damn.
And I know we were all like not rah. We were like, regulators suck, but like,
yes,
it's
we
regulators.
need them, man. We need them.
This is regulators doing what they're supposed to do.
That's right.
Because it's wild. I just want you to imagine something. Imagine if on Windows, like your PC right now, literally everything you did could only be in the Internet Explorer browser, and if another browser wanted to be there, it would have to be reskinned as a reskinned version of Internet Explorer, right?
Yep.
That's one. And imagine if every purchase you made on your PC, Microsoft had to take 30%.
Take a cut. Yep, that's right. That's right.
No one would let
which
that
is where
fly.
iOS lives right now. This is the world iOS lives in.
There are more iOS active users on the planet than Windows users right now, today.
Which is crazy. Yes.
And any purchase, it doesn't matter, they get 30% of. Anyway, aside from that, the streaming apps thing is super interesting to me. Why? Because if it's now allowed on the ecosystem, then who's to say these apps won't come to Apple TV? And as you know, I've been doing my experiments with the Sonic Dream Team game, which is amazing. You should play that. So Sony Nakamura is saying, what's wrong with a closed ecosystem?
Yep.
It's not about the ecosystem being closed per se. You can live in that ecosystem if you want, but as a developer who contributes to that ecosystem, you cannot say that you have over 1 billion people every day using these devices and you get 30% of everything they spend.
So
that
real
is
quick,
wild.
Real quick,
and you're saying people on that platform cannot compete with you unless you say so.
That's right. So quickly,
that would not be allowed in any other scenario.
Why it matters and why governments are looking at it is, like, for example, a highway. Even though a private business can help put together highways for people to use, once everyone starts using them and it becomes a critical input, meaning everyone needs the highway to get to someplace else, you who built that highway no longer gets to decide who drives on it, right? The government, it is then in the government's best interest to say, look, I understand it's your highway, but because it's now a critical input for human society to function, we must now make it equal for everyone to be able to use it. Now, you who built it will get a stipend or something, or will make you feel whole for building it and get credit for it, or some kind of value for your hard work you did. But you cannot now say, oh, I built that highway, so only BMWs who I have a deal with will get to drive on that highway or something like that. That's where we are with it. Go ahead.
Dorian Gray in the chat is saying they built the store, they should have control over it. If you believe that, that is totally fine. But Apple is saying you cannot have any other store on their entire platform.
So
right?
this is not an issue of their store being the problem. It's an issue of their store being limited and limited for their use case, and also their operating system not allowing for any other stores to live alongside theirs. So being a critical input, but only you get to decide every piece of that critical input. It is not fair.
Crystallize that really clearly here. What if Microsoft said the only way to get software on your Windows PC was the Windows Store?
Through the Windows Store, yes. And then when you do that, we charge you at least 30% for every single app that exists in Windows forever.
In no scenario would anyone be okay with that, whether it was a customer, whether it was an app developer. No one would allow that.
But Apple has done that in iOS.
Whose entire family uses the iPhone. I have like 4 Apple TVs in the house, Apple Watch, Apple AirPod Pros.
So
all of that.
real quick, here's an example of that.
That is terrible.
Here's an example of that. The green bubble, blue bubble debate, right? In any other world, hold on. In any other world, stop. Let me explain.
You're not gonna mess up my text messages anymore.
Let me finish. In every other world, right? When you have a protocol that's missing, like in Windows, right? If you can't just by default do AirPlay in Windows. No, you can't. But because it's an open platform, anybody who wants to develop can throw that protocol, create an app, throw a protocol in there, and now your app on Windows is allowing you to do AirPlay, right? Because of the way the current environment works in the iOS App Store, right? They've removed RCS, which is the protocol that would allow Android people to talk to iPhone people without any of the weird friction, right? But Apple, knowing why they did that, of course, right? Because they want to make their thing more appealing. They have removed that RCS protocol. And because they are the controllers of every piece of both the store and the OS, nobody can make anything around it. And actually, people have circumvented that and been able to put, iMessage on Android. But then, of course, they're able to circumvent that and they stop it and they sue you or whatever. When it's becoming a critical input where vast swaths of the world are using this, you, as in the person who make it, cannot be allowed to make a determining and go, well, these guys are allowed, but these guys aren't. And the people that are allowed are paying us, and the people that aren't allowed are not. It's not that simple. Yeah.
I see that people in the chat are conflating Apple having control over their own store versus saying
versus the whole
that
platform.
people cannot, whether it's developers or users, cannot go and download outside things. Those are two different arguments. And if you believe they should have control over the store, that's fine. But
and
when
they
you
will continue to have control over their store.
Right. But there are certain responsibilities you have when you become a ubiquitous platform. And once you got 1 billion people on there, you have to move different. Now, let me give you an example of these things.
Amazon, for example.
Yeah, we can talk about Amazon and what they do to people. I'll let you give that example. But the example I want to give is Microsoft owns Windows, right? And at a time, they were including Internet Explorer in Windows, and therefore that was hampering anyone else because of the tyranny of the default, even though you could, as a user, go and download other browsers and bring them on. Everyone would just use Internet Explorer. So as a result of antitrust litigation, it was decided that Microsoft had to now offer a browser ballot, and they couldn't. They had to separate Internet Explorer from Windows. As a result of that, you had companies able to grow, like Google, who is now a formidable competitor. And now you have two competitors in that space. And
without
Google,
that browser
like
ballot,
them, love them, or hate them,
would not have grown.
Right. But like Google, love Google, hate Google, they are still a competitor to at least keep Microsoft honest.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so, again, if you have more people using iOS devices than you have using Windows, there are certain responsibilities that come with that. Right. And they will do whatever they want, and they will hamper innovation and competition just because they don't want to have you to deal with any of this. And again, Sony Nakamura is saying that MS is a bad example, though, because PCs are always open. Better thing to compare is consoles. No, it's not better to compare consoles, because if Apple only had 100 million devices out there, nobody cares. And consoles are not like an essential part of life. No. Listen, Sony.
We love this
Sony
debate.
Nakamura.
We love this stuff. Yeah,
this is it. This is what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. This is good stuff.
Listen, we're all friends here, and if, as we always say, if agreement is a prerequisite of your friendship, then you're not friends.
Then you're not real friends. That's right.
I welcome all of this, because these are the conversations that we should have. So
absolutely.
Again, the whole point. Oh, look at this. I'm saying 1 billion devices. Apple has 2 billion devices in the wild.
Yeah, 2 billion plus,
again. When that is the scale you're operating at, it is tyranny to say you are going to charge people like a nickel bag gets sold in Central Park, and Tim Cook wants
gotta have a piece. That's
right.
So
everybody owes and everybody pays. You can't do that when you got 2 billion people.
Here's the Amazon example, right? And that example crystallized even more when COVID hit, right? Their problem was they are the ecosystem, they are the store, they are the marketplace, right? And when they were the marketplace, they were also picking and choosing, because they have the analytics, picking and choosing and seeing the best environments to get in. And obviously on Amazon, you want to be page one, whatever your product is, right? So they would find the products that are sweet and advantageous for biggest bang for buck. They would steal your idea, and then they would put you on page 2, page 3, and they'd put their replacement of your item on page 1, right?
Wait a minute. Just one thing. Dorian Gray says we penalize someone for building a better mousetrap. Here's the thing. Is it still the best mousetrap, and how would you ever know?
Exactly, because you're not allowed to circumvent it and find other options. You are locked in, and it's up to government regulators to force them to allow for others to enter. Real quick, what all we're saying, boiling this all down, is in a world where you are Amazon and you control the football field, you can't be a player on the pitch. If you control the field and everyone that's playing in it has to pay fealty to you, that's fine. But you can't also be a team on the pitch, because it's unfair.
We have to, like, if you don't think that and this is Microsoft included. I'm not saying this as against Apple thing. But if you don't think
Dorian is saying other
companies-
systems exist, other systems don't exist. There are only two, right? And Apple is trying to lock you into their walled garden, and Android is trying to lock you into their walled garden. And what we're saying is, until regulators get involved and force them to play fair, they're always gonna artificially force you and keep you in their ecosystem. In Apple's case, a la the egregious Apple Store rules, a la the removal of RCS protocol, those things. Continue.
What I need to understand is the pushback against this is what exactly, right? You do not have to use any of these other app stores.
No.
Right?
Yes.
You don't. And Apple's app store will stay the same, and their user experience will stay the same, and you don't have to install this suspicious software on your phone. It's not like it's magically going to show up on your phone. So if you want to stay in that walled garden, you are more than welcome to. Why do we not want other people and other businesses to be able to not have to? Do you understand that Apple, right? And this is true, by the way. As a result of this is them reacting. If you're an app developer, you build an app, you link out from your app to a website so you can handle the payment yourself. Apple still wants 17%.
17%, and they can have that because
even though they didn't process the payment.
Yep. They are outside your app store. They have nothing to do with your store. By virtue of them controlling both the store and the platform that sits in that store, they can say, yeah, you linked out to your own website and that's where you charge people. But yeah, we want a piece of that payment as well. Now, they have every right, because they're a business entity, to do that. Every right to do that. But when they get to critical mass, where it becomes like they don't have any competitors in that space because Android is doing similar, right? Then it's the job of regulatory bodies to be like, look, it is in our best interest to keep the playing field as level as possible. You can innovate with what your offerings are. Hell, you want your app store to be to have these walls up, sure, but then you have to allow other app stores to live alongside your app store. Because it's not fair to lock us in and then not allow another app store that may compete with your rules.
How do we know what a better mousetrap is if there's only one?
If there's only one mousetrap that you're allowed to have, and that's also controlled by the people, yeah.
And so here's the another way to think of this. When you are at the scale of an Apple or a Google, if you say you don't allow a certain thing in your store, and that is the primary way, theoretically users could do things to get things on their phone. Theoretically, users could get sideload apps on iOS today, right? Most people aren't going to do that. And so most people not having simple access to get to other things that they want to do, that means Apple dictates how 2 billion people, and if Apple and Google are doing the same thing, it is two companies that are dictating the business practices of everyone.
Yep.
Right? And so that when you're at that scale, you should not be able to put your finger on the scale, so to speak.
Let's handle Chris Coleman's last statement here, and then I will say this conversation will continue, but let's continue it in the Discord, because these are the kind of conversations I want to keep having. This is one of those things we can tease out for some time. I want to keep the thread going. I want to join the Gaming Circle Discord. Let's continue that conversation. But Chris Coleman says, his statement was, if it wasn't for Apple Store and Apple building up the ecosystem and the infrastructure, then it wouldn't exist for devs to leech off of. Apple provided a platform to the largest install base. while I agree
Wait a
with
minute.
you,
Did he say leech off of?
yeah, he said
Do we
leech
not
off of.
understand that
Yes.
that
It's
Apple is
actually the
only so
opposite
popular
way.
because of the apps?
Because of the app stores, yes. But I guess
If those
the
apps weren't
point,
there, people wouldn't be using it as their primary
but I
computing
guess
platform.
the
Apple
point
needs them and lives off of the 30% they get. What are we talking about?
but the point of the matter though is whether Apple created the model that's now being exploited, right? They could let's not get it twisted. The modern App Store ecosystem, the modern App Store model that was created by Apple, and they deserve credit for that, right? And they definitely do, because they iOS followed, Android followed along what iOS created. Let's not get it twisted, right? But what you're describing here would be like saying, since Microsoft created the Xbox Live ecosystem and created the thing that became achievements and created all of that, that means Microsoft should have patented it, and every other console that uses it must pay them a 30%. That's the kind of thing you're saying here, which at some point the business must be allowed to stand by itself. And if you are a critical input, which Apple is at this point, you can't live on the idea that, well, I created it first, so forever in perpetuity, I get to make determining factors of every piece of the puzzle. That's not how it works. It works that way if you have direct competitors keeping you honest, giving consumers options. But when you become 2-3 billion handsets and nobody else can compete, now you no longer get to make that determination, because yeah, it's true that you are the creator and you're there, but other businesses rely on that critical input now. So regulators have an outsized interest in making sure that playing field stays level. But yes, Everborn Saga, what is your thoughts? Yes.
So
you finish it up and we'll move forward.
Okay, a few things, and I do want to come back to the cloud thing because that's more relevant to our show. I think we're veering off into a tech politics thing. But and Aaron said it earlier. We may not think it's fair. We may not like it. But the same rules that Microsoft has to live under, because they are so ubiquitous. And I promise you, you'd be pissed off if you had to go through Microsoft for everything on your Windows machine. And people keep falling back to that started as open. It doesn't matter. It's their platform. By a lot of y'all's definition, they should be able to do what they want with it. Right.
And by the way, it didn't really start off as open, because that's why you heard people like Gabe and Tim Sweeney after Microsoft for as many years as they were. They have changed their policies over the time. They've changed and allowed for other app stores to thrive in their ecosystem. And that's the reason why you now see Gabe mea culpa. You now see Tim Sweeney mea culpa with Microsoft. This ire that you see on Apple was not always on Apple. It was on Microsoft for a long time, when they were doing what Apple's doing now, when they were forcing people to go through the app store, forcing certain costs as far as licensing costs for different handsets and things. This is not new. They're just moved on from Microsoft because Microsoft has kind of softened their position, and now they're good with everybody. Continue, everybody.
Let's put it this way, because this is the same equivalent.
Yeah.
What if Microsoft said, yeah, Steam, you can't be on Windows?
Yes.
To begin with.
Yes.
And if you are on Windows, guess
what?
I need a cut of everything you do.
That's right.
It's my platform. You couldn't run this. You can now because you could do it on Linux, but they're still doing some Windows trickery to get it to run on Linux. So we created Windows. You can't
be on it. That's right. Because that's the world that iOS lives today, right? 3 billion plus handsets. And if you like a competing product other than an Apple product, you can't use it on there. Which isn't fair.
And by the way,
because Windows can't do that. Yes.
By the way, Steam, any game that goes in your store, we gotta approve.
We need a cut. We need approval. That's right.
Not only do we need a cut, we have to say, do we want this in your store?
Yep.
And if it competes with us, you can't put it in your Steam store.
Yeah.
Everyone would look at Microsoft like they were the mustache twirling villains.
Absolutely.
But somehow
because
Apple is like,
input.
It's just you can't do that when you are at that level. You can't.
When you get to critical mass scale, you are no longer allowed to make those determinations.
Devices, if you are 100 million devices, you can do that. It's a small thing.
Yep.
And consoles are a luxury. You cannot do that once you get into the billion people range.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Okay, so now I do want to come back to and again, this debate will rage on, and I love the debate. So
it's great. It's great. Let's keep talking.
Don't take my disagreement as any animosity. People, I'm not that soft to where I can't have people disagree with me. So I appreciate
we enjoy the disagreement. And by the way, the Discord link is still in the chat. Join our Discord.
And after saying all of that, blue bubbles are still better. Now, back to the streaming thing, right? Like, as a part of this, they're going to allow things like GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming, right? To me, this is amazing, right? Because if you look at that, if you look at the Apple TV, if you can now have GeForce Now or xCloud on your Apple TV, it already works natively with the controller. And I mean, it works really well to the point where you can do
I still wasn't able to find where my recordings live, though. I still couldn't find
it. No. So here's the thing. They don't live anywhere. Like, it's kind of janky, but it works. And you have to have an iPhone, right? So what happens is when you press the screen record button on your Xbox controller, this works with PlayStation also, but you press the share button, it now will take the last 30 seconds and do an airdrop to your phone. Yeah.
So if you do this and if you don't have an iPhone, then your game clips just go into limbo.
Yes. Shout out to Apple getting to do whatever the F they want,
right?
And people defending it.
And this machine has a hard drive where it could live. Just saying.
Right. And so so the other thing is but remember, GeForce Now does not have the same latency issues. And a lot of people, I have not played it, so you guys are gonna have to speak for me on this, but from what I hear, GeForce Now, you can't tell that it's not native many times.
True.
And the latency is almost non-existent.
Because they're using actual PC hardware versus console hardware. So
right. So again, forget about gaming on your phone. Imagine just getting your 129 Apple TV puck, plugging it into your 4K OLED, and then playing on a 4090 level PC.
Isn't that what Boom is doing now? He has the Samsung Awesome TV. He has the Samsung special controller that looks like an Xbox controller. He's able to go on GeForce Now. He's able to go on Game Pass, and he's playing. Imagine living in a world where that's all you have access to play your games. You would never even know you're playing on Xbox.
Now here's the thing. Let's take this a step further, right? Let's do the thought experiment. xCloud, right? You put that on the Apple TV with the Xbox controller, right? And again, you can try this now if you have an Apple TV. Connect the controller to it. It works very well.
Seamlessly.
You can control that. You can turn on your Apple TV from the controller. It's basically a console. And the user interface already works like a console works, right? And let me finish. Please. So the user interface works very well with the controller. You press the Xbox button, the action menu comes up, so you could connect to Bluetooth or turn the device off. All that. And sir, I don't want you looking at me sideways because you got like a 6-year-old Apple TV. I got the hot newness, so don't come to me, sir.
I'm not even talking about
don't
performance.
Come to me unless I send for you.
Performance is a different situation. I'm not even talking about performance. I'm talking more about the user.
I don't even know if you got the latest update, but anyway.
Of course I do. I'm in the beta programs. I'm in the beta programs. I have the latest and greatest. I do.
Your device may not be able to handle that.
I do. I checked. I made sure. I do.
I would need you to back that up with paperwork.
It's just the UI. The UI is a little.
Okay. All right.
No.
Android user. All right. Anyway, and don't get it twisted. I'm doing all this Apple slander about their business policy. I hate me some Android. Wouldn't be caught dead using it. It's Apple all day because there's no Windows Phone. But anyway, back to the discussion. You're derailing me, sir.
Keep going.
So get your Xbox controller. Imagine when, if this comes to pass, I could very well see Microsoft now saying we have a growth vector for cloud, and actually investing more in server blaze and cloud tech and rolling out those features. So imagine now if they release that controller that leaked this year that connects directly to the cloud to get rid of your latency, and they roll out 4K streaming, and you're now playing with almost no latency in 4K. Remember, I said 4K on your Apple
Nicely
TV,
done.
just
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
Yep.
And because Apple has this kind of scale, they're like 100 million Apple TVs out there.
Mm-hmm.
If people could be playing like that, it's a whole new ball game. You're talking about $129 puck that you can connect your trusty Xbox controller to and play games on your 4K TV. It could be a problem.
So shout out to ETA Prime. This is his footage right now. This is him playing PC console games and emulation on a Apple TV 2022. So this is some years back even. But even in this world, it is pretty substantive what it can do. It only had the A15 Bionic in it at the time. But still, even in that world, people are playing some interesting games. They're using like a remote play to circumvent some games. Obviously, the Xbox controller is working. So yes, my only problem is the in-game environment is not ready for prime time, in my humble opinion. Meaning, like in the world you play today, in the console world you play today, where you're talking to your friends, you're recording game footage, you're doing all the standard console stuff. Some of the solutions they've applied may get you there, but they're not fully baked. The game recording being an example of it. Not to say that it's an impossible task to circumvent. Obviously, they could easily do it. They could easily move the storage space to the hard drive instead of doing that AirPlay crap they're doing now, and then it would be perfect, right? In the short term, though, their UI experience, their moment-to-moment gameplay experience leaves something to be desired, in my opinion.
Now, let me add something here to this. Yeah. Now, Lucius Augustus in the chat says something very pertinent. We see what these M chips can do. What happens when they put the M chip in the Apple TV? Right? We already know. Right now, I got the 15 Pro Max.
Yep.
And that's the A17 Pro whatever, right? That right now they're about to release Death Stranding. They just released Resident Evil 4. They already did Resident Evil Village. So they're starting to, and again, they run terribly and they run at 30 FPS, but that's a phone, right? That's not an M-class chip. So what happens when you put an M-class in one of these and sell it for $399?
Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. Right? What does that do? And then you add cloud gaming to it. And this is part of why you understand Microsoft looking beyond console. It doesn't mean they don't care about it, but that bigger audience and how many people they could be in front of. And I say all this to say entry. I say all this to say they don't need PlayStation. Ladies and gentlemen,
stop. No. Okay. let me quickly address at least Sony Nakamura's question as well. He says he's a stupid console gamer. I'm sure you're being facetious. You're not stupid. Calm down. He says, but why do you need all of this? Playing on your TV and stuff. What's wrong with the console? The console has always been known as a barrier to entry, right? It's a great barrier to entry because us console gamers and people who've been gaming on consoles for a time know that it's fun and great, and it's what you need to do to be able to get the best games possible, right? But in the world of today, where a lot of games are breaking out of that console mold and that people aren't necessarily wanting to use consoles as their main to game, right? And we're talking about people younger than me, and I'm talking about my kids, we're talking about Everborn's kids, we're talking about the young generation. They're playing on tablets, playing on phones, wherever. It is now a question of, are we going to continue to lock these quality games behind consoles, or because that limits its reach, limits its budget, all of that, or are they going to find some ways of getting past the point of, oh, you need a console to play a game? And oh, by the way, all these ARM chips are getting far more performant now. So there's a world where maybe the console will be for the console gamer, but others who may not want to be a part of the console gaming environment will still be able to get the same level of quality and all of that, because these small handheld devices and these phones and these TVs can now traverse that divide like they never could before, right? You needed a console because that was the only way to get that fidelity, to get that great gaming experience. Now you don't need the console anymore. Now it becomes a choice. It becomes an option for you. And those who want the other choice being on directly on their TV or their Apple TV or their phone or whatever, those are now becoming viable options as well, right? So that's where all of this is coming from. Consoles will never lose the thread,
right?
but
This
more
what we're
options are
talking
coming.
about. What we're talking about is a growth vector,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It is an easy way. I'll give you an example. I have an Xbox in my living room.
Mm-hmm.
I have an Xbox in my bedroom, but those devices, the Series X, those devices were $500 a pop, and I'm an enthusiast, so that's fine for me.
Yep.
But what I also have in every room in my house that has a TV, once I found out the Apple TV, the new one, the 4K was only $129, every TV in my house has an Apple TV under it.
Yep.
Everyone. Right? And so if you're telling me that they can solve the latency issue by using some of the Stadia tech and they can upgrade to 4K and I can play that way, and don't say it's not possible if you haven't tried GeForce Now. I think this is a way to expand greatly and still be under the TV.
Yep.
Right? And it doesn't mean like your console's going away, at least not right now, but it does mean you'll be able to have those same experiences in front of a TV. And if the lag is not perceptible, if the visual quality is upscaled the right way, why do you care if it's on the native hardware?
So the question that being asked, and that's a very good question, a pertinent question, why Apple TV and why not native TV apps? And another gentleman says built-in TV apps are good enough. Well, the reason why not the native apps, and the native apps are coming along. There will be a day and a time where they will be, because you guys have just heard me talk about how, shout out to Double Barrel Gaming,
why is it
Mr.
either
Boomstick.
or?
Well, no, hold on, let me explain. You've heard me say that Mr. Boomstick now has an Apple TV, a Samsung TV, and it does all that. The reason that you go for Apple TV today instead of the native apps in general is because for historically the TV vendors have put the priority in visuals where it belongs, on the TV. So if it's an OLED vendor, oh, the OLED is plush, it's beautiful, it's crisp, all this stuff. But the Bluetooth is old. The Wi-Fi radios, not so good, right? The tech that makes these streaming apps work better have always been deprioritized by the TV vendors, because those features are nice to haves, but aren't priority for making your TV look the best, right? So initially it was, oh, we'll just put apps on TVs and we're fine. And they noticed that the Bluetooth radios cause a lot of friction as far as latency. They noticed that the Wi-Fi radios they're using are maybe not as fast, so it does not let the game shine as bright as it could. So that's why, yes, they're doing set-top boxes, because those tend to have the hardware that you're looking for. And in the same token, as to Everborn's point, they're working with the Samsungs and the LGs to make sure that your Wi-Fi radio is Wi-Fi 6E and maybe not Wi-Fi 5, to make sure that your Bluetooth is the newer protocol, so it limits some of those latency concerns. And then the future 2024, 2025, 2023 devices, in some cases, will have just the app and it works. But if you just throw it onto any old app, yeah, your Wi-Fi radios and your Bluetooth radios may be lackluster. You'll play it, but you won't get the best experience. And then your first instinct will be, this thing is not so good. It's not because it's not so good. It's probably because your tech in your TV isn't up to par. Go ahead, everyone.
You did a lot of explaining there, and all that stuff was true. But the simpler reason for why Apple TV is because people have them.
True, and people have them.
It's just as simple as that. People have them.
I'll even say on the Android side, it's 1,000,001 set-top boxes that run Android TV, right? And they also perform way better than your native TV apps, because they will have more powerful radios, make powerful Bluetooth, all of that, right? So as TVs come along and they fill that gap, we won't need them anymore. But in the short term, it's the set-top boxes you have under your TV that have more performant stuff in it that will make your game shine brighter.
Right. And a lot of people who, like casuals, they may not be willing to spend $500 on a console, but they will spend that
$150.
Right, $150, because they're going to be watching Netflix. And now you're telling them, hey, you can put this near native quality thing on it.
That's right.
I'm just saying,
that's right.
It's going to be an interesting growth vector.
Absolutely.
And if that takes off, I could definitely see Microsoft doing a lot to take advantage of it.
And when that happens, Everborn, I think Apple will also quicken the pace and give you a better UI for those gaming elements. Right now, it's a taste. I think when you start seeing more and more action being performed, being paid to the more AAA-esque games in that environment, and you see more than Resident Evil and all of them coming there, you're going to start seeing them fixing some of those little nagging elements that don't really make the UI of a set-top box like that.
And I also think you're going to see native games, like once they put the M chips in Apple TVs, you're going to start seeing native games come there.
See,
native AAA games.
You know what'll help that? That'll help. What'll help that is when Microsoft or one of the platform holders goes ARM with their platform, right? And Microsoft can do that because we've already talked about it. They can go ARM and then kind of still give you the x86 development environment to kind of off ramp you onto the native ARM. But when games are being made under ARM in earnest, then you'll see a lot more ARM developers and a lot more ARM set-top boxes be used for that purpose.
Let's and I gotta go now, so we should
and
wrap this up.
We gotta go.
Another note, someone's saying like, well, what about mini PCs and things like that? Microsoft, just like for handheld, needs to make some form of a Steam-like OS, an Xbox OS, if you will, that works across handhelds and TV devices, and maybe people will put PCs under their TVs. That's something they need to do, but they have not done that as of yet. Now, the last thing I will say is Microsoft is making a lot of inroads with ARM for Windows or Windows on ARM. Yeah. And Google just announced that they're going to be supporting Windows on ARM natively with Chrome. Yep. That's a huge deal. So we could see a lot more of this. And as that transition to ARM, it makes you wonder, hey, Jason Ronald, is the next Xbox going to be ARM based? There you go. So are we going to make that operating system that we could put under the TV to compete with the Steam Deck and the Apple TV? Who knows? Anyway,
my legs that have been standing for 3.5 hours say it's time for us to go. But it's been a great conversation.
Wait a minute. Jones the dad said his super chat build but didn't post. Okay, what was your super chat? Tell us. We'll bring it up.
Let me look it up. Jones the dad.
Jonas the dad.
Yeah, I don't see it in the list. It did not. Please let us know what it was. We will read it out. Absolutely. It's not in the list. So maybe something happened there in the back end. We would not want
just type it. We'll highlight it.
Type it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No worries. Type it out. We'll definitely call you out. We appreciate
while he does that. You continue your outros.
I will say thank you guys for being here. Thanks to the 123 people who liked this show. For those who could still like the show, please hit that like button. The algorithm appreciates it, and as do we. Consider joining the Discord. As we have said, we're having so much fun in said Discord. I will put the Discord link in the chat as well. Join our Discord. If you want to, you can also become a member of the channel. Becoming a member will then give you access to specialty places in the Discord, and in so doing, you'll get access to some game codes we will deliver there as well. Jonas the dad, and I think this might be the chat that was missed. So salute to you, Jonas. Sorry about that. He says my 11-year-old uses my Game Pass ultimately he uses his Game Pass Ultimate to wirelessly play Roblox and Minecraft on their tablet with the Series X controller. Wow, that's pretty cool. I've been using the idea of Game Pass on those devices to then let my kids play Game Pass games with a smaller controller, because that's the only way to get the 8-bit Do controller in their hands. I have a 4 and a 7. They don't, the Xbox controller may be a little bit too big for their hands, so I stream it through Game Pass Cloud, and then they use the smaller 8-bit Do controller, and there they go. So yeah, I still advocate Microsoft Even PlayStation, get smaller controllers. There's a reason why Nintendo Switch is sweeping the nation. They got small controllers for them little hands, man. Smaller controllers. But anyway, Mr. Everborn Saga, thank you as always for joining me on this. The dynamic duo continues. I appreciate you, sir. Tell the fine people where they can keep up with all your ongoings. Where can they find you doing more work on your game, sir?
In the Discord. Come to the Discord. We're in there working on the game. Gonna be working on the comic book very soon. Talking about the news of the day. Just hanging out. Discord is where it's at. Hey, I'm just looking at something from Post Up that I wanted to highlight before we get out of here. This is something I was saying. As of December 31st, 2018, ABK had approximately 9,900 employees. As of December 31st, 2019, ABK had 9,200 employees. As of December 31st, 2020, ABK had approximately 9,500 employees. As of December 31st, 2021, ABK had approximately 9,800 employees. Wait for it. And we know that January of 2022 was when Microsoft made the offer. So December of 2021, they had 9,800 employees. As of December 31st, 2022, ABK had approximately 13,000 employees.
Wow. Holy crud. What a meteoric rise out of nowhere. Like, what happened there? Jesus. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We don't have an annual report yet for 2023, but in May of 2023, this the interview from Variety, Bobby K. Kotick mentioned that they had 17,000 employees. Now, again, 17,000 is not the number of full-time employees that went over to Microsoft. They had a lot of temporary people because they staff up when is coming out. But the point is, they had an extra 3,000 employees than when Microsoft agreed to purchase them.
Hey.
That is just a thing to consider.
Yep, absolutely. That is super interesting tidbits. What are you gonna think? You know, there's a reason for some headhunting when you have so many bodies. Wow. Okay.
Again, I hate that I have to keep saying this. Of course, we feel for everybody that lost their jobs, but if we want to talk about it, we have to talk about it.
We should be actually, talking about the real. Yes, absolutely. No, I don't disagree with you on that. But all right, sir. Besides that, you're going to be on the Discord.
The answer is Discord. That's where everything is. I'll be working on the game in there. I'll be getting on live calls in there to work on the game, screen share, all that. That's where all the news breaks. Everybody brings it there. So if you want to be a part of the party, join the Discord. And if you want to potentially be on the show, maybe become a member of the channel. Not mandatory. But it'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice. We appreciate that. As for me, same thing. This Monday, myself and John Wolf will be doing the gaming the Gamers Playground.
Look at you.
We will also know that the reason why I slipped because my brain was thinking about the game club we're talking about. For folks who don't know it, in our Discord, we're starting a game club. Mr. John Wolf is leading that initiative. Our first game, which we'll talk about on Tuesday in the Discord, will be the aforementioned Prince of Persia. Everyone it was an easier way of getting access to it. Some people got it through Ubisoft Plus. Others purchased the game. For future reference, the next game we'll probably... Yeah, twice. Yeah. For future reference, some of the games we'll use will maybe be on Game Pass, or maybe it'll be a free game that's offered by a platform or something, just to make it easier for people to get into it. But this week's game will be Prince of Persia. So tune in, come check out the Discord. We're gonna have conversations about that with John Wolf as well. But it's been a great conversation. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for the continued support, for the crazy super chats. You guys are too kind. For the members who are joining, we have great ideas. We want to implement great stuff. We want you guys to give us some ideas that we can incorporate. We're trying to build bigger and better together. So thank you guys for the continued support. And on this post, continue telling people about it. Continue telling people that they can come and check us out. But until next week, we hope you have a great time gaming this weekend. And check us out on all the various places you'll find us. I might be on some channels this weekend podcasting some more. We'll see how that goes.
Oh,
until next
I'm
week,
gonna be
yes.
I'm gonna be on Lemon Show later today.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. 6 o'clock. Excellent. Well, check out the Lion's Den. Oh, it's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to see you there. And I might be on the Shop Podcast. I'm still working. I actually need to speak to Mr. Blam. We're gonna talk about that. So I might be on the Shop Podcast tonight at 8 o'clock. So keep up with our ongoings. We appreciate all the support, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Nice to be in orbit.